Hello and welcome wherever you are in the world. We are coming at you live from Hangar 7 in Salzburg. It is the Gran Turismo World Series Showdown. Yes, guys, don't laugh. I'm very excited. We're back properly live for the first time in 2 years. It is unbelievably exciting. It's very nice to be standing next to both of you and having all of our competitors here in the room as well. Guys, how is it for you? I mean, coming in through the big doors of Hangar 7 and seeing all the competitors there, how was it for you, Jimmy?
It's just awesome to be back, to be honest. I mean, it's been 3 years since we were actually here. I keep saying, oh, it was last year, it was like last year. But definitely not. But it's so great to see everyone again. I've missed everyone. It's an emotional time, you know.
It is emotional. Tom, how did it feel?
Yeah, it's been mega, hasn't it? It's so great to be back with everybody. I mean, we've been talking online for ages, haven't we, up until this point? And, you know, it was great walking into Hangar 7 yesterday up until I saw Jimmy, which brought my day on a bit of a downer, you know, to be honest.
Wow. So, you know, absence does not make the heart grow fonder. If anything, it just makes it worse. So we're looking forward to see how that develops over the course of the World Series. But yeah, we are super excited to be back, and we're so glad that you guys are here with us to join us in this monumental occasion. It's fantastic. Right, but we want to get into it, so let's take a quick look at what's been happening in the Gran Turismo World Series. So, okay, obviously we had round one, which was our online qualifiers in the Manufacturers' Cup, and of course the Nations Cup, which leads us to now, which is the Gran Turismo World Series Showdown. And then in September and October, we're going to have rounds 2 and round 3. So all lots and lots of lovely, delicious points to garner to get a place in the coveted World Finals, which will be live in Monaco, November 25th, 26th, and 27th. Now, we also want to hear from you guys today as well. Who do you think our Michelin driver of the day is going to be? And reach out to us on socials, because we are live, and we really want to hear from you guys. I'm very excited. I'm going to stop talking and throw it over to Tom and Jimmy.
Thanks very much. Welcome up to the GT test for the first time in, what, 2.5 years? I haven't seen this baby since Sydney 2020.
Yeah, I mean, like, it needs repainting. They got me in early to do that, so thanks, guys. Appreciate that. It's not my contract, by the way, to just put that out there.
Yeah,
but,
quite. Anyway, look, let's stop talking about desks and start talking about racing, because the Manufacturers' Cup is the name of the game for the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series. Let's take a look at the competition format. So we've got 12 teams of 3 drivers, 1 driver from each region, from the Americas, from EMEA, from Asia, Oceania. Qualifying, they have to pick 1 driver from their team. It's a 1-lap session, and the results of that, of course, will determine the grid position for the grand final. A 90-minute race coming up here tonight. All 3 drivers, though, must race as part of this grand final. Different tyre strategies will fill you in on that later. And you can see there, points from 1st down to 6th place. Those World Series points are all awarded according to the final results. And, of course, they'll want to be carrying those into the World Final. And, of course, there can only be 1 winner for the Manufacturers' Cup. And the question is, who's it going to be?
yes, and as always, we are live in 7 languages. We have, of course, me and Tom are here in English. We have German, French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Japanese. So wherever you're tuning in the world, we got you covered. But, of course, we know you want to be on the English stream, because, well, we're the best, really, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Even if the Italians are really trying to get you to tune in. We've got Francisco and Gonzalo there. We've got Kazuki, and we've got Nakajima-san in the Japanese commentary booth as well. It's so great to have everybody back here. It's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I endured several spine-breaking hugs yesterday when we went up again. I'm standing a bit wonky now, but yeah, so great to have everyone here again. I'm really looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take you through the qualifying format that's taking place here tonight for the Manufacturers' Cup as well, because it's a single-lap qualifying session. So basically, we've got 12 teams. We split those into 2 groups of 6 teams, and of course, there's only 1 bite at the cherry in this, so there's a lot of pressure on these drivers.
Yeah, so you imagine, you know, you're full of, your team's full of very quick drivers, and they go, right, you mate, you got to go do the quick lap. So there's a lot of pressure here, and we say pressure a lot. We're in an environment, there's cameras everywhere. There are 2 idiots shouting over the top of their lungs on the speakers as well, and they have to put their lap in under pressure. and make sure they are responsible for how their race starts, pretty much. So it's a massive weight on the shoulders of people out there. I don't envy them at all.
Not at all. No, of course, we have been doing this online, remotely, for the last couple of years, so it's a bit different from playing in your bedroom or in your office compared to being on the international stage, as you say, with a load of muppets shouting about you, to be honest with you. Anyway, yeah, thank you very much. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go into introducing our teams, because there are 12 of them ready to line up here for the Manufacturers' Cup. Please welcome, they're down to 2 drivers, unfortunately due to COVID, Shataru Rio and Giorgio Mangano from Team Mazda. As they make their way onto the stage here at Salzburg in Austria, we get ready to welcome our second team, Hiroki Shizumu, Arthur Musso and Jos Legrand from Team Mitsubishi. Great to have some new faces in the Manufacturers' Cup for the GT World Series. On to our next team, Lucas Bonelli, Kazuki Cho and Baptiste Beauvoir make their way onto the grid then. And unfortunately, that's Team BMW. So BMW making their way onto the stage now. And next up, we welcome our following team for Genesis. So Dylan Helt, Yuki Sasaki, and Manu Rodriguez then. A new manufacturer in 2022. More on that later. Well, let's shift our focus on to the next team as they make their way on. This is Team Chevrolet, Adriano Carrazza, Alex Lopez and Kazuho Owata. So next up, we'll focus on Team Porsche then. A few names you might be familiar with: Angel Inestrosa, Jose Serrano and Connor Healy. Let's see what those drivers are going to be able to do. Next up, it is Volkswagen. Seiya Suzuki, Thomas Laboutelet and Roberto Sternberg will be the 3 drivers to take to the grid for the German marque here. Next up, we have Team Nissan. Mehdi Hafidi, Hiroshi Okamoto and Harold Volson will be competing here tonight. Let's see what the Nissan drivers are going to be able to do in their GTR here this weekend. They make their way onto the stage. A brand new manufacturer in 2022 is Genesis. It was supposed to be Nicky Romero. He's been substituted by Manu Rodriguez, unfortunately due to COVID. Yuto Sasaki and Dean Helt will be the other drivers who make their way up. Let's see how they are going to fare. A new mark on the grid this year. Another manufacturer ready to take to the grid will be AMG Mercedes. Lucas Bonelli, Kazuki Cho and Baptiste Beauvoir. A very strong driver lineup. Will they be able to take the fight to the front for the first time since 2019? Unfortunately, down a driver due to COVID. Team Subaru have got Kylian Drummond and Danny Solis ready to take the fight. Will they be able to do the business without Takuma Miyazono? And our 12th and final team, Team Toyota, Nikita Moisov, Igor Fraga and Ryota Kokubun are the last 3 drivers who will make their way onto the stage here for the Manufacturers' Cup as we get ready to kick off the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series.
And here are the drivers who have, I guess, you can say it's a lucky task or unfortunate task of trying to put their car on pole position. You see some massive names in there. Igor Fraga qualifying the Toyota. We have Sternberg in there for VW. Very, very quick online and see how he fares here at a live event. Also, Angel Inestrosa for Team Porsche. He's been with that team for as long as I can remember. And, of course, Giorgio Mangano there for Team Mazda. So, massive names out there. A lot of teams putting their best foot forward, trying to get up the as far up the grid as possible for this qualifying event.
Yeah, it is a single lap qualifying session for our drivers as well. We're just about ready to go into this one as the drivers are making their way out of the pit lane. So there are going to be 2 groups of 6 teams on the grid as they make their way onto the circuit. And we're really excited to see how they are going to fare at the Trial Mountain Circuit, which is, of course, the venue for this race here today in the Manufacturers' Cup. Great atmosphere here in Salzburg as well, isn't there?
I mean, look at this venue. I mean, I'm always blown away by Hangar 7. It's absolutely a gorgeous place to be. Something you can't quite see right now. It's just out of shot. It's just like 5 F1 cars just hanging out back there. It's amazing. I spent most of my morning just sort of nerding over those guys. But of course, yeah, the pressure's on. These guys, you can see, camera pretty much in your face here for Team Mitsubishi. So it's fairly intense to have that when you're down there driving. But these guys, they get used to it fairly quickly, I think.
Absolutely. They're going to be trying to compete for that grand prize at the end of 2022. You can see it up on the podium there, of course, the winning trophy for the Manufacturers' Cup here tonight. Really looking forward to seeing how the drivers are going to fare here, of course, for this, the World Series Showdown. Of course, we have got one more live event in 2022 in Monaco in November. Really excited to see what that is going to be all about. Look at the concentration on these drivers' faces here too.
So I'm really interested because this is, as we said, our first live event in 2 years. These guys have been practicing over the last 2 years in the comfort of their own home, in their environment, and just in a way that they find to be most comfortable. Here, we thrust them into the limelight. We shout over the top of them and do all the things that all we can do to distract them, basically. And they've got to be there and perform. Also, to the right, they've got their competitors. So if someone nerves off the circuit, it's quite hard just to not reach over and be like, "Excuse me, mate, what are you doing?"
And we have seen that as well. Let's be fair. Back when we did this a couple of years ago, before the world sort of took a bit of a turn, we did see drivers remonstrating with one another when they were a little bit upset.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say we don't like to see drama, but we do like a bit of drama.
Oh, it helps, doesn't it?
We like a little bit of drama. And of course, a lot of these guys as well, good to know, they've also got headsets and ways to communicate with their team. So when it gets to the race a bit later on, if someone's feeling maybe, hey, we can change our strategy, we can change things around here, they can have that conversation with their team and do that on the fly. So yeah, I think we're just waiting to get into things here, but very much looking forward to seeing how this qualifying pans out.
Absolutely. So, of course, the teams have selected their qualifying driver, basically the driver they think is going to be quickest over the course of 1 lap, and we're now ready to get this qualifying session underway here for the World Series Showdown in the Manufacturers' Cup. Tension is in the air. No surprise to see Igor Fraga there behind the wheel of the Toyota, as the drivers make their way then out of pit lane and we get ready to go.
I can hear a Mazda.
Yeah, you can't fail to miss that rotary, can you? So then onto the track we go for qualifying for the Manufacturers' Cup for the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series Showdown. So, Jimmy, this Trial Mountain circuit, it is a legend in Gran Turismo, of course, updated for GT7. But what's the key to a quick lap round here?
Not hitting the mountain, literally, mate. When I was younger, I hated this circuit because of this bit here. See on the left, you've got just pretty much the mountain just on the side. I used to always running wide there, hit the side and just slow the car down completely. But yeah, an original circuit to Gran Turismo, and I think it's really held up very well. As you say, slight redesign as we sort of come in to 2022, and I think maybe to help us sort of promote a little bit of overtaking and make it a bit easier for our drivers to race, but otherwise largely unchanged. And if you're a fan of the GT series and like myself have been around for, you know, I was playing GT1 back when I was a wee boy, and back then I loved this circuit, and it's like nostalgic seeing the guys race here now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So the drivers then just on their warming up lap. This is a good opportunity for them to get heat into the tyres. Of course, as you can see, they're all on racing soft. There are 3 tyre compounds available under racing conditions as well, the hards, the mediums and the softs, and strategy is going to be very important. We'll guide you through that a little bit later. Here is Adam Tapai, the Hungarian driver, back with Jaguar again in 2022. He's been with that manufacturer for the last couple of years now and has really sort of got his feet under the table, and looking forward to seeing what he is going to be able to do. Here is Chevrolet, Adriano Carrazza, the Brazilian driver, behind the wheel. We know Adriano can be quick, but the thing is, he does like to get himself involved in a few scrapes, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, but as you say, he's a very quick driver, very fast driver. So if he qualifies in the front, he'll be good there. If not, then, you know, we're probably going to see some elbows out manoeuvres. Now, we had a bit of a chat with some of the guys before the qualifying started about what we can expect to see here. A lot of chatter around Mercedes-AMG. A lot of very fast car underneath them, it seems, which they the general consensus of that will be somewhere near the top of the field. Although Subaru seems to be a bit of a fan favourite, maybe not quite the same thing. Apparently struggling for single lap pace. So we see a good lap out of that Subaru, you know they've really put it together. Anyway, our first flying lap, Team Mazda now out there. What can they put down?
Yep, so coming through into this mountain section there, you can see some live timing, some new graphics in 2022, and this is going to be brilliant as well because we'll be able to give you live sector times over the course of the lap. So flick it through that left-hander, get as good a run out as you possibly can through the tunnel. I absolutely adore this part of the track because you have to try and pick your braking point coming into this hairpin bend as you go through the second tunnel. It dips down, comes up over the rise, and you think, oh, I can brake late, and then before you know it, you're heading straight to the scene of the barrier. Let's see what Team Mazda are going to be able to do. Shitaru Ryu behind the wheel, into the left-hander, nice run through there. You can see him there also. Really smooth inputs on the steering here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the way the drive this car is really nice and easy. The race cars, after all, a little bit of slip's okay, but beyond that, you're going to not be using the tyre the best. So we plunge back down the hill now into this quite awkward left-hander. It always caught me out when I used to play this back when I was a kid in the old Gran Turismo games. And now we come down to a part you might not recognise if you're a bit of a retro enthusiast. This new hairpin, so heavy on the brakes. So you want to slow the car down a lot. You don't want to go wide here because it messes up the exit onto this right-hander, which is pivotal for that time it goes onto a straight. So coming over the start-finish line, now this is going to be the provisional pole and time to beat. Team Mazda go across the line. About a 148 is going to be a decent time they put down. A 147.8, so that's pretty quick.
Not bad at all. What about Team Mitsubishi then as they come to the timing line? It's not going to be a bad lap from them, but is it going to be enough to topple Mazda and Ryu? It's not. Half a second adrift. BMW next to come through with Cassie behind the wheel. The Spaniard then as he comes out of the final corner. He was up in the third sector. Can BMW depose Mazda at the provisional top of the order as they go to the timing line? Yes, they can. It's the first into the 147.6s. Nice lap time there.
A shake of the head, though. He wasn't quite happy with that lap, and someone who's also not going to be happy with that lap is Adam Tapai here. 5 tenths down in the middle sector. I doubt this is going to be quicker. It comes across the start-finish line and goes provisional 4th.
So Chevrolet next up then with Adriano Carazza just threading his way through that final corner, 2 tenths of a second down. If he can gain a bit of time back, he might be in for a second row here provisionally. Let's see what it is for Carazza as he comes to break the beam then, and he goes.
Yeah, not quite there, not quite. So still a decent time there, but he'll be unhappy with that. Team Porsche now, I expected Angel Enestrosa to be quick here, but he's not. He's half a second down in that second sector. It seems that second sector is a bit of a bogey set for a lot of cars. Does manage to grab a little bit of time back, but only good enough for a 47.9, putting him in 4th place, and that is the last of our first group of cars. Second group out on track now. Yeah,
absolutely. So these drivers then will come into the pit lane. We'll switch our focus over to the second group. So, as we said, of course, 2 groups of 6 drivers, and now, of course, the hard work is done for that first group. Do you think, though, if you're going out in the second group, it gives you a bit of an advantage because you've got a reference point?
I don't know, it's difficult. I'm one of those guys that likes to sort of get on with it. So if you're sitting there waiting, watching something else drive around, you might get a little bit nervous, get a chance for those sort of nerves to get the better of you. On the other hand, as you say, you might be there watching the old matey boy next year because, oh, I've not tried that line. I'll try that in my qualifying lap, and it might actually be decent for you. Again, that's one of the upsides to being in person, to sort of have a little bit of a spy on the guy next to you, see what he's up to.
This is Saya Suzuki we just saw behind the wheel of the Volkswagen here this year. This is Hiroshi Okamoto, another Japanese driver making his way into the World Series for Team Nissan. Jimmy's fist pumping in the air next to me.
It's our year. It's Team Nissan's year. I'm telling you, this is the one. It's going to happen.
I mean, bear in mind, of course, we had World Series 1. What was that, a month or so ago now? It seems like it was only last week. But, of course, we are 2 drivers down. Those 2 drivers, Takuma Miyazono, Nico Romero, who are not competing here this weekend. Hafidi, who is one of the Nissan drivers here this weekend, is the only driver to have scored points in the World Series so far that's competing in the Manufacturers' Cup.
So what you're saying is that Nissan's a go. That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
If that's how you want to interpret it, Jimmy Broadbent, that's how you want to interpret it.
That's what I'm hearing.
I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that down to you. What about Igor Fraga then? We know he can pull it out of the bag, and of course his appearances in GT have been, well, I think it's fair to say, pretty profound.
They have been, but you know what? Not recently. I say he's put on some decent qualifying laps recently, but never really followed it up. We saw last time out, great qualifying, and just fell off during the race, big time. Not quite sure what happened to him. So there's no doubt the speed is still there, but whether it's been good enough for a decent time and a decent race, we will see. Now, Team Subaru, this is a bit of a fan favourite, this one, because of course we have our champion from 2020, our triple champ 2020, Takuma Miyazono, driving for them, but not here today. That's a massive thing. Of course, he is undoubtedly the star of that team. No offense to the other guys, but Miyazono's had a lot of success as time's gone on, and not here. So anyway, VW on the lap right now, and currently actually up on BMW in the first sector.
Yeah, it's a really good first sector there for Volkswagen. However, unfortunately, the commentator's curse has come to bite Nissan in the backside because they picked up a penalty on their fast lap. So Okamoto's obviously made a mistake, whether it's track limits or whatever it was. We didn't see at the moment, but that penalty means that they'll be starting right at the back.
Guys, it was our year. This was the time.
It was your year for about 20 seconds until the commentator's curse.
There's always 2023.
You've been saying that every year since 2018, mate. I think you need to give up on that dream. Here is Suzuki then, so just threading his way through in that Volkswagen Beetle.
Still up on the time right now. He's still up in sector 2. Only just so. I think it's by like 1/100th of a second. So it's got to be a good last couple of corners here for VW. I did say that VW could be a contender here in qualifying. In the race, I'm not really sure what their pace is like, but that car seems fairly quick over a single lap.
Yeah, into the chicane we go. It's all about getting the exit through this final series of corners. It seems so slow, of course, compared to the former layout there. A little bit of speed scrubbing off through as we come to break the beam then. Can Volkswagen get ahead of BMW and take pole position, or would he have lost time in the third sector? Over the line we go, and it's by the smallest of margins, less than 0.10 of a second, sadly stopping them from taking pole position, but a good lap nonetheless. Nissan, of course, as we know, have lost a bit of time, and they come to the line, and it is only a 1:48.5, I should say, right to the back.
Very sad. Here's Genesis, of course, brand new manufacturer here in the GT World Series. 3 tenths down. It's not the best lap in the world, really, at the moment. We'll see if they've made that up anywhere on the straight or in the last sector. They come across the line. Their time is going to be good enough for P5, middle of the pack.
Hasn't been a brilliant lap for Mercedes AMG.
It has, mate. They're only 6,000s behind, so this could actually be a pole lap with a good last couple of corners. It is! There you go! By quite a way. A 47.2 for Mercedes AMG. Pulled it out the bag there. Very quick time from them.
Yeah, nice stuff there from Baptiste Beauvoir. What about Team Toyota then as they come to the line? Igor Fraga behind the wheel. Can they get onto the front row? No, they can't. It's only 6th quickest, so it is Mercedes AMG then that do take the honours by some way. An amazing final sector there for Baptiste Beauvoir, but what about Subaru then as they come to the line? Can they do anything? It's a good time so far, but not enough to get them on to the front row of the grid. And relief there for Baptiste Beauvoir. What a lap he pulled out of the bag. That final sector where everybody else was losing time was something else.
I heard him when he went across the line, look, so he was well happy at that lap, and that was a storming lap. That was 3 tenths clear of the field. I know that might not sound like much, 3 tenths of a second, but in this field, with this level of competition, that is a massive gap.
Well, I was looking at the sector times, and that's why I was so surprised. I was looking at the first sector, second sector, wasn't really much to write home about. That last sector, he absolutely flew through there.
I think it just goes to show that different cars have different strengths. So that last sector obviously playing to the strength of that Mercedes AMG. But I was quite surprised by Toyota. I expected a better result from them, frankly. Igor, mate, what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we saw, of course, Fraga qualifying well in World Series 1 earlier on this year, but he didn't go so well under racing conditions. The thing is, maybe he's trying to do the reverse strategy this time and not qualify so well and pull it out in the race.
I mean, we can chat about that all day, but I mean, frankly, it's it's a long race. We reckon somewhere in the 90-minute mark for this endurance race coming up very shortly. So qualifying, it's not super important. You always want to be at the front of the course, but it's not going to end your night if you haven't had a good session, because some of these cars are better race cars than they are qualifying cars.
Yeah, absolutely. And strategy, as we say, is so important as well, because they've got to do a minimum of 14 laps on each tyre compound, 3 of which are available, and that's going to be a huge talking point to see who decides to do what, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get into all that tyre data very shortly. I know you nerds love it out there, because I love it and I'm a nerd, so it's a lot of fun. Interesting to see Genesis as well, our new manufacturer, middle of the pack there. So you reckon they would have hoped for a better result? I kind of think they might have done.
Yeah, possibly so, but again, first time, of course, on this international stage in the World Series. Maybe there was a slight mistake on the lap. It's easy to do on that single lap qualifying as well. Let's have a look, shall we, at the results from that qualifying session then. So Mercedes take pole position from Team BMW on the front row by 3 tenths of a second, and then it is Volkswagen, Karatza with Chevrolet in 4th, Subaru, Mazda, Toyota, Genesis, Team Porsche, Mitsubishi, Jaguar, and then Team Nissan right at the back of the grid. That mistake on the qualifying lap sadly costing them very dear and giving them a lot of work to do.
So sad. Look at that. Guys, P12. I mean, I'm not biased at all, but P12, guys, we need better results. Come on. I'm going to get down there. I'm going to get on the rig.
You're going to get on the rig and give it a go, are you?
Appreciate how bad they are as well. But I was being told earlier for Team Subaru, their goal was to out-qualify Team Toyota. So they'll be happy with that. So definitely one to watch Team Subaru despite being in 5th place.
Yeah, of course. They are down to 2 drivers for this one as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they decide to do their strategy. Because we were talking to the team here earlier on. And basically, if a driver wants to double stint, they're allowed to do that. So if they've only got 2 drivers, they can go into the pits, put a new set of tyres on and carry on their stint. So they don't lose that continuity that they've already had.
Yeah, they haven't told us what they're doing yet either. So a bit of sneaky tactics to go on there for Team Subaru. Maybe we'll have to find out.
Yeah, absolutely. Really looking forward to seeing what they are going to be able to do as well. I tell you what, it is really tight though. Just after 2nd place, Volkswagen, Chevrolet, Subaru, all half a tenth in it there in that sort of mid-pack inside the top 5.
Yeah, can you imagine being like Team Mazda or something and just being a couple of attempts off being 2nd? That would be sad. Having to say the least. But he's having a good time. That Mazda RX Vision through the tunnel. Definitely. It's a great way to go deaf.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love that car, though, because it's so different to what we have with the sort of V8s and straight line, inline 6s or whatever it is. Anyway, let's go down to Julia then, shall we, and catch up with Baptiste Beauvoir, Mercedes-AMG on pole position.
Yes, I'm joined here by the pole position team for the Manufacturers' Cup. Yes, Team Mercedes-AMG. Right, okay. Now this is the moment, okay? You're like mentally prepared. I guess my first question has to be, what's it like competing now that you're in a room and you can look everyone in the eye? Is it more stressful, do you think? Do you feel more nervous?
Yes. I'm nervous, but I very excited for the race. We hope a great result.
Yeah, I think you'll do well. You're feeling strong. How was that for you? Nervous? Was it more nervous because everyone's here looking at you now? It's not like you're just in your room.
Well, a bit nervous for the qualifying, of course, but
yeah.
I wasn't expecting to make a pole position like this, 4/10 of the second, actually. So it's good. It's a nice start, but the race is really long, actually. Basically,
it is really long.
Yeah, really long. Basically, 1 hour, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So nothing is finished yet. Everything has to be done for me and my teammates. So we are really looking forward to start the race now.
And how is it for you now being, side by side with your teammates? Have you talked strategy already?
そうですね、もう戦略とかすでに話し合っているんですけど、その中でポールポジションを取ってくれたので、このポジションをキープして走れるように頑張りたいと思います。
So yeah, we did talk a lot of strategy already, but it's incredible that Baptiste got pole position for us. So we want to keep that advantage and take it all the way to the end.
So you're going to do it? You're feeling pumped? Come on, let's get some energy. Yes? You're going to win?
We're going to win.
Yes,
we're going to win.
Yes. All right. Okay. From me on the floor, it's back over to Tom and Jimmy, and let's get this thing kicked off.
Yeah. Cheers, Jules. I think we need to get them to pump it up a little bit,
Oh, that's a forbidden phrase.
Yeah, I know.
GT floor.
Yeah, I know. It was our sort of getting ready song over the last couple of years, and we've heard it so many times. Anyway, let's talk about Genesis, because of course they are a brand new manufacturer in 2022. Yeah, you can see them there, a partner now of the GT World Series, and I tell you what, they qualified pretty well, but I'm really excited to see what they're going to be able to bring to the table here with GT.
Yeah, of course, arrived with a brand new car, the Genesis X Group 3 car, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm a bit of a rust box JDM enthusiast. If it's not from the 90s, I'm not usually interested, but this thing here, it looks pretty clean. It looks all right, doesn't it?
It's mega, yeah. It's got 547 horsepower there and thereabouts, and it's an opportunity for the designers to go a little bit mad, to be honest with you, because of course, when you're designing a road car, there are different regulations that you have to conform to. Headlights have to be a certain height. Of course, in a race car, there are different regulations, but you can have a bit more creative freedom. And I was talking to the designers of Genesis, who are here in Salzburg as well, and they were just telling me about how much passion they have for motor racing and motorsport, and I think that really comes through with this.
I think it really is awesome to have another manufacturer sort of partnering with Gran Turismo. It really lends credibility to this series and showing that, the manufacturers, they're taking it seriously because it's a serious event.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, Julia is going to be catching up with one of the designers who is here as well, because we've got a few people from Genesis. So let's head down to Julia and see what's what.
Yes, I'm joined by John from Genesis here on the floor. John, welcome to the Gran Turismo family. How do you feel?
I feel great. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
It's been a really great day for us, especially because Genesis has been wanting to be part of the Gran Turismo family for quite some time now, and it finally happened. So we're really excited about it.
Well, I mean, what's it like kind of being around kind of, we've been waiting 2 years to be back and be with everyone. Yeah. What's kind of your take on the sort of the energy at Gran Turismo?
Well, I mean, the energy is fantastic. I love the designers from all over the world, and it reminds me a lot of our global design team. We have designers who are extremely passionate about designing cars, and to know that the makeup is very similar to that is fantastic.
So obviously, we saw you. I mean, it must be kind of, is it kind of warm your heart a bit, like when you see your car in the game? It's kind of cool, right?
It's beyond cool. It's beyond cool because it's something that, like I said before, as designers, we're super passionate about it, and it takes very little motivation to get someone to try to design a race car. So very little motivation. So we've had everybody, volunteering, not even being asked to do it. They just jumped right on it, and hopefully we design the car that the drivers will enjoy driving behind the wheel.
And how do you like your chances for your team today in the Manufacturers' Cup, would you reckon?
I think it's going to be great. I think they're going to do great. These are such a talented group, so I look forward to seeing.
Well, look, John, thank you so much, and welcome. Welcome to the GT family. It's really lovely to have you here. Now, that is exceedingly cool, but I've got something equally just as cool to show you right now. This is going to be good.
We collaborated with Gran Turismo to create a car for the game, a racing suit, a helmet, and some boots and gloves, like a full kind of package. The starting point for the project was really looking at the glamorous adverts of Dior parfum from like the 60s to the 80s. They were sort of evoking this glamorous lifestyle. Different perfumes would sponsor car races like the Dakar Rally, the Le Mans 24-hour race. The car, it's this incredibly limited de Tommaso Mangusta.
It was thought in a global way, from the car to the outfit. Those nice colors, they are pop but are not too flashy. The sponsoring was put in specific places. The right logos were used from the right period because we used that 60s and 70s logos, also with a CD diamond. The Dior oblique was used in a very subtle way, more tonal on the outfit. The sole is something that we have in Horizon. We changed the upper to have something more sporty and more related to what car footwear should be. In the history of the game, but also of racing cars, I think the yellow is something quite iconic.
The shape itself is so strong, and it's got all these sponsorship logos over it, so we actually wanted the car itself to look quietly kind of understated. 1947 is a very important number for Dior. It is the year that Christian Dior founded the Maison. So whenever we're doing any sort of project at Dior, we always look directly back into the archive, find a way of connecting it always to Monsieur Dior himself.
The idea of having a big French couture house collaborating with the most iconic race car game was just amazing. And I think the last edition of Gran Turismo is so elevated in terms of options and luxury that it was a perfect marriage on that project.
Seriously cool. That's so cool. I'm fully obsessed. I fully want the boots. In reality, you did tell me they actually have very similar ones that they sell at Dior currently now. Not exactly the same colours, but I feel we should get in on that. That's great. How do you feel about it? With a bit of haute couture for you?
I'm just imagining rocking up to a track day in the scuffed Supra in trackies and the Dior racing boots.
I think you should do that. I mean, we should elevate. Yeah. No, it looks really cool. What was your kind of take on it, Tom?
Oh, it's mega, isn't it? It's great to have new partners, people being involved with GT and GT7 specifically. As they mentioned in the video, the customization, the ability that they have to be able to bring that in and bring it to a more prominent audience within GT, I think is phenomenal, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Well, I mean, obviously, one of the things about Gran Turismo is the ability to, have these kind of luxury cars that you love and drive, and then why not have kind of, these luxury brands as well kind of be part of that? Because we all want to look amazing while we do awesome things. I mean, that's standard. I mean, yeah.
Do you reckon there's going to be an achievement now in GT for the most fashionable drivers?
I think there should be.
It's not me, sorry.
It never would have been either. Like that's a surprise.
So how you feel back? I mean, before we kind of chuck into the old Manufacturer Cup, how are you feeling being back on the desk? I just wanted to ask that.
I love the desk. I've missed this thing so much. Honestly, it feels like home.
Does it?
Yeah, not working with you two. This desk feels like home.
Thanks so much. That's on that lovely sort of life-affirming note. Let's kick it off for the Manufacturers Cup, guys. Take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. We are live, of course, in 7 different languages here for the Manufacturers Cup here tonight for the 2022 Gran Turismo World Series Showdown. We're in German. We've got Mikkel and Florian on the desk. Really looking forward to seeing what they are going to make of the racing. We've got Donald and Fabian for France. We've got Alberto and Lucas Ordonez for Spain. Emilio and Andrea for Italy. Gonzalo and
Francisco.
Yeah, I forgot his name. I apologise. And then Yamada-san and Nakajima-san, of course, for Japan as well. 7 different languages, though. I mean, where else are you going to get that?
Tom now owes Francisco a beer.
This is true. I mean, I probably owed him many beers for coming here anyway. He just has to put up with you for the next few days, mate.
Hey, come on now. Anyway, you know, we have endurance race coming up. And what do we mean by endurance race? Because I think it's just a term to fling around. Usually we run what we kind of classify as sprint races, which 100% sprint to the flag as quick as you can. Endurance races, first of all, you know, you might have figured out they're a bit longer. We reckon this was going to be about 90 minutes. We've got driver swaps in there as well. And most importantly, strategy. Big part of this race.
Yeah, tyres, of course, are a big talking point. They've got racing hard, medium, soft compound of tyres. They must use each tyre compound for a minimum of 14 laps, though. So you can do 14 laps on one, 14 laps on another, but there's going to be one type of tyre that you're going to have to do more than 14 laps because it's 90 minutes, 48 laps is what they're expecting here at Charles Mountain.
Well, what's going to be interesting, I think, is that how we're going to see different cars deal with having to be on those softer tyres for a longer period of time. I'm told the BMW especially, whilst it's fairly quick over a single lap, does struggle a little bit on its tyre wear. So if you're trying to make those soft tyres last 14 laps, you can't just run flat out. You've got to rein yourself back in, run at 95%, not at 100% to make sure you can get that stint completed. Because otherwise, get to lap 12, lap 13, tyre's just gone completely and you lose a ton of time. So you really have to play the long game in these races.
So I guess driving style has a big impact on tyre life as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say I was a pretty good endurance driver because I'm not that quick. So I was pretty decent in the endurance stuff, but nice and smooth as much as you can be, and that'll get you to the end of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess also that is good for the entry of the corner, but on the exit of the corner, you want to be minimising wheel spin, that sort of thing.
And more like lock as well. I mean, it's very easy if you're, feeling aggressive to go lock to lock, get the car a bit sideways, get a sliding a bit. But every time you do that, you're taking life out of those Michelin tyres. You don't want to be doing that. Bad. Slap on the wrist if you do that.
So if you're Mercedes, for example, you're starting at the head of the grid, what are you going to do? Are you going to try and make a break for it, go on the soft tyres early and then go slower as the race goes on, or are you going to try and do something different? What do you reckon?
Try fast, don't crash.
Oh, for goodness sake, I knew that was going to come up. It took, what's that? 20 minutes, something like that?
That's all I've got. I've got no real advice. But yeah, I think really, just try and consolidate that lead. Don't go out there too strong. Don't be too aggressive. You don't need to be. There's nothing wrong with losing the lead if you're keeping the tyres alive, keeping that fuel where it needs to be. So I think very important just to keep that in the back of your head.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, of course, we are ready to go for the Manufacturers Series here. Now we're going to get things underway. Your respect, please, for the national anthem of our host nation here in Austria. Well, the national anthem then plays out here at Salzburg in Austria. Great to have people here. Great to have such a brilliant atmosphere here in Hangar 7 as well. What a venue to kick off our World Series Showdown here. Of course, our first in-person event in 2.5 years. But anyway, let's get back to the racing then. So, manufacturers to watch. I mean, obviously, if you've watched qualifying, you've got to be Mercedes-AMG, surely.
Yeah, I mean, I had a long chat earlier on with some of the guys down. We've got Mick Hazal here. He's been sort of helping some of the teams get up to speed. And I had a chat with him, and he was saying sort of ones to watch, possibly Mercedes, of course, which, well, we've seen that. They've been really quick. And Team Subaru, of course, Mick biased towards
yeah, because he competed with them for a few years.
A little bit. But he was telling me that the Subaru, whilst over a single lap, not that quick, on tyre wear, it's by far the best. So what we might see as the race goes on, if it's a clean race, to Kylian Drouin driving that car at the start of the race, is slowly moving forward as the race goes on. So we have that, of course. Team AMG, I think they have just out-and-out pace. It's just a fast car, so definitely one to watch in there as well. I'm hoping, praying to the JDM gods that Nissan just come flying through the field, mate. T1, last to first challenge easy. It's
like
happening.
A rocket,
It's happening, I'm telling you.
Yeah, okay, all right. Well, you can go and live in your dream world if you really want
I will, mate, I'm off.
Yeah, that's fine. I've got eyes on Team BMW, though. They've got a really strong driver lineup. We know, of course, that they can do the business. I remember, was it Paris 2019? They won, of course, the Manufacturer Series. Different driver lineup then. Things have moved on a little bit, but they had good pace and quality. So
yeah, there is that. And I think we also have to give mention to Team Genesis as well. When I was speaking to the lads earlier on, they were saying the car is just easy to drive quickly. Not necessarily the fastest car there, but in endurance races, you always want a car that feels nice and you can be confident pushing, lap after lap after lap. And it sounds like the Genesis sort of fits that bill.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the competitors then on stage here as we get ready to get this World Series Showdown underway, and very keen to see what is going to happen under racing conditions. Of course, you guys can get involved with your predictions here as well. We asked you at home who you thought was going to do the business. Subaru, despite being a driver down, 34.8% of the vote share.
4%? What are you chatting about, boys? Come on.
Maybe they just had an idea that the qualifying wasn't quite going to work out. Team Toyota up there as well. They were qualified, 6th place on the grid. So they're hoping for a stronger race. Of course, Mercedes, 11.6%. Porsche, 8.23%. Both of which,
Yeah, and this is still open. You can make your vote in-game, your prediction in-game, for the chance to win some in-game prizes. So make sure to go over there and do that before our race begins.
Reminder then of the grid. So it's Mercedes, BMW on the front row, Volkswagen, Chevrolet row 2, Subaru, Mazda row 3, Toyota, Genesis row 4, Porsche, Mitsubishi row 5, and Jaguar and Nissan will line up on row number 6 for this Manufacturers' Cup race. As I said earlier on as well, look at the gap there between 2nd and about 6th place there with Mazda, separated by, a couple of tenths of a second there and thereabouts. Incredibly close in qualifying trim. Doesn't mean it's going to translate that way in racing, but given the gaps are pretty small, I mean, that sets us up for a really exciting race.
Yeah, for sure. Really looking forward to it. And you've seen it already, but let's take a closer look at the track we are racing at today. Trial Mountain, a circuit that has been part of Gran Turismo since its inception. And I'm so glad to see it back here, and so glad to see it's part of one of our GT World Series events. A completely fictional circuit, but you wouldn't believe it. It's got a ton of fantastic corners, including this cambered long left-hander at the end of the straight as well. And you see 15 corners in total. So, Group 3 cars being used today, racing hard, medium and soft tyre. Now, as Chum said, you have to do a minimum of 14 laps per tyre, so it's down to our guys to work out that strategy. Fuel shouldn't be an issue, I've been told, but it could be an issue for 1 or 2 cars if they drive it at 10 tenths.
Yeah, you can see there the tyre strategy as well. So if you start on the softs, expected to go onto the mediums for 17 laps and then the hards for 17 laps, and you can see how that sort of changes as you go through the different tyre compounds. I imagine that the further you start up the grid, I mean, you can probably want to make a break if you're Mercedes, but then if you're further back on the grid, you're going to want to be on the soft competitive tyres to try and get ahead of those who are on the harder tyres, like the mediums and the hards, who are in the mid-pack.
It just depends on your driver as well. Some drivers react better with different tyres. I actually spoke to one of the drivers earlier about this strategy graphic here, and I said, what do you reckon? And they just shrugged. And I was like, oh, cheers, lads. I appreciate that lovely input you're giving us there. But yeah, as you can see, very much a maths game as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get ready then, shall we? It's been a long time coming, but we are finally ready for live racing action here. The Gran Turismo World Series Showdown Manufacturers' Cup is about to get underway here in Salzburg. Here we are then, ready to go for action. It is time for the Gran Turismo World Series Showdown here in Salzburg, Austria. Trial Mountain is the circuit we'll be competing on, a 48-lap race, about 90 minutes or so, one of the longest we've ever done in Gran Turismo. And it is Mercedes who line up on pole position, BMW on the front row of the grid. Alongside them, Volkswagen head row number 2. And alongside them, it is Team Chevrolet with the Corvette C7. Row 3 is headed by Subaru, the 2020 manufacturers champions, with Mazda in 6th place alongside them on the grid. Then it is Team Toyota, not a bad lap from Fraga, but not where they wanted to be on the grid. New Boys Genesis line up P8, just inside the top 10 are Porsche in 9th place, and they have got Team Mitsubishi for company alongside them. The final row of the grid is the Brit Team Jaguar, and then it is Team Nissan in the Nismo GTR, completing our 12-driver-strong grid. And this is now our first opportunity to look at the tyres here, Jimmy, and the pole sitters on the mediums.
Yeah, interesting. That sort of says to me we aren't sure what you want to do, really, because usually it's hard tyre, get rid of it on the soft tyre and run away. So BMW behind on the soft tyre, so look out for them early in the race. They're definitely going to be on the attack, want to use the best of that soft tyre. Ditto for Chevy down there in 4th place. Team Subaru opting for the medium compound. So I'm looking forward to losing track of what tyre everyone's on within a few laps.
Well, it is going to be Kazuki Cho who will line up at the front of the grid for Team Mercedes-Benz then, as we get ready to get racing action underway. You can see a rolling start then for our drivers, and I tell you what, you could cut the tension with a cricket bat here in the venue, because it is going to be so brilliant to get racing action underway then here for the World Series in 2022. Mercedes-AMG lead the field across the timing line as we get ready to go. The Gran Turismo World Series Showdown here in Salzburg. Manufacturers' Cup is underway as Mercedes lead the field down towards the first corner, followed by BMW, followed by Volkswagen. BMW, of course, are on the soft compound of tyre, likewise Chevrolet as well, so expect them to be quick on this opening lap, of course, because they have got faster compound tyres than those ahead of them. But Volkswagen already in the first couple of corners, a half-second penalty there, track limits.
That's what you don't want to do. You've got such a long race here. Don't be doing silly stuff early doors. So Mercedes-AMG leading out for now, and the background cars coming together. A bit of a Mazda train in the background there. Top 5 have pulled away slightly from the rest of the field, but it's AMG for now, just taking it easy through this first sector. A couple of the cars also opting to weave a little bit at the start. They're trying to get some temperature into those medium and hard compound tyres that heat up a bit slower than the soft does. Now, we're going down the main straight for the first time. This is a great chance of BMW to move over. They will on that soft tyre. I don't think we're going to see AMG fight too hard here. There's no point really doing that right at the start of the race. And BMW there putting by on the straight. They'll probably have the inside into the braking zone and the tyre grip tube. Yeah, they go up the inside. Chevy wants a piece of that as well. Almost runs into the back of AMG. And VW there falling back a little bit, as now Chevy challenging AMG as we go up the hill.
So this is really good here for Chevy. It's exactly what they want to do and what they need to do. Not been a brilliant start to the race for Nissan. There's a great scrap going on outside of the top 10, but up inside the top 3, you're going to see Chevy diving down the inside of Mercedes then for second place as they go through the left-hander. Great move there being made by Chevy. Good start to the race for Adriano Carrazza as he moves his way up into second. And now the focus shifts over to Mercedes and, of course, to Volkswagen, because they have got that half-second penalty here on the first lap, which is going to drop them behind Subaru at the very minimum.
Yeah, frustrating for them, but hopefully a lesson learned from that. And you see, yeah, just dropping behind Subaru there as we go down the main straight. But you see in that overtake there, that's what I mean about the endurance racing mindset, is that AMG, very kind there. Could have quite easily gone, no, shut the door, got that and defended heavily there, but there's not much point at the stage of the race. It's a long race and there's no point getting involved in anything right at the start.
If you're following different teams, by the way, and you're wondering why they're dropping back early doors, well, keep an eye out for the likes of Mazda, Toyota, Jaguar, Genesis. They're all on the hard compound of tyre. That's the slowest compound of tyre. It's definitely more usable here on GT7, but it's the durability that's the important point in that. It's not very quick over the course of one lap, but over racing distance, that's when it comes into its own, because of course the soft tyres, though they're fast, they do wear out a lot quicker, of course, due to the difference in compounds. And you can see Porsche here really putting the pressure onto the back of Toyota. Behind the wheel of that Porsche is Angel Inestrosa, and he's going up the inside here of the Toyota. Nikita Moisov behind the wheel, so it is side by side as they come through the first tunnel. Porsche on the inside, Toyota on the outside. I don't think Toyota are going to fight this one too hard. Different compounds of tyre, different strategies that the two drivers are on as they still run side by side. Porsche will have greater grip grip under braking, and indeed they go through into 7th.
Yeah, vibing down the main straight is Toyota. There isn't really much point, as you say, of defending that move heavily. We've seen in the past Porsche actually being not that fast in the straight line, so interested in being able to get that done down the straight. Meanwhile, front of the field, BMW and Chevrolet putting away from AMG and Subaru behind, as we expected. Now, if you're in one of those cars at the front, you sort of have a bit of a choice. Do you push hard, try and make a gap, or do you try and get this soft to last as long as possible? I've heard some people talking about maybe doing 20 laps on the soft tyre if they can get things going, and that's not going to help. That's what we mean about getting that tyre warmed up. Sliding there, that's going to clip the rear tyres if you keep doing that and make that thing almost undrivable. We're on board now. Awesome sounding car this, as we now come through the first section of Trial Mountain. This nostalgia overload, you throw it to the left. I always used to launch it off this this right-hander here. These guys are a bit more professional than me, and then you can carry a little bit of a lift through there, interestingly. You can go flat through there in quali, though.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? That's first part of the circuit, and I really love seeing the drivers able to tackle it. You can see Adriano Carrazza here, just concentration on his face at the moment. You know, got to keep it smooth and not do things like that. He's had a couple of moments coming out the corners, hasn't he, where he's just been spinning at the wheels, and we talked about that before the start of the race. When you get that wheel spin, it's really easy to light up the rear tyres, and the problem is that just wears them out quicker, and it's not going to help them in their charge to try and keep on to the back of BMW. What they want to make sure is that they don't let them get away.
Well, I think that's the thing, though. You see the guy in front maybe pulling away by a tenth for the first sector, and you react and you push harder. And then when you push harder, you make that mistake, and then it all sort of compounds and it gets worse and worse. So we know Carrazza historically is a fairly aggressive driver. Look at that Chevy in a straight line. There's 2 tenths there he gained down the back straight. So that Corvette not lacking the horsepower as you expected, really, wouldn't you? But that BMW looking a lot more composed at this stage of the race.
Yeah, so on board we ride here, then you can just see minimal steering inputs there, and there's a problem for BMW, and there's contact. What on earth has happened here? I think that might have just been a quick graphical glitch, unfortunately. I thought something had gone a little bit wrong there between those drivers, but they do manage to keep it on the straight and narrow, so it is still BMW that lead from Chevrolet then. It is still 0.8 of a second, the gap between the top two as they come through into the left-hander then. So it is nose to tail between those two drivers. Then, of course, it is really close between Mercedes and Subaru, 0.3 of a second separating the German manufacturer and the Japanese manufacturer. Those two, of course, both on the medium compact tyres, but we know that Subaru, kind on its tyres, not that quick in a straight line, though.
You see Kylian Drummond there just flashing the AMG, being, get out of my way, move, I want to go fast. So I reckon we're going to see him make a challenge on that AMG very quickly as we come now through the last section here. And yeah, look, some timing issues there at the moment, but AMG valiantly defending at the moment from Subaru. I've got a feeling we might be seeing a red flag coming.
Yeah, I think you could be quite right there. So yeah, things are going on, and I think the competitors are not best pleased, because you can see here this is all changing the complexion then of this race. The red flag has been brought out. The race has been stopped then on lap 4 out of 48 here, and unfortunately a very early end to the race here for the grand final in the Manufacturers' Cup for the World Series Showdown. And, well, it's not surprising given the issues that the drivers were facing there. Of course, what we want to see is a nice, fair, clean race for the drivers, and we weren't quite able to bring that to you.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things, you know, it's just like a technical error, as it would be in real life, and I know I've had a few of those recently, so I know what that feeling's like. But this is a difficult reality for these drivers, of course. They now have to kind of reset. They now have to get their mind back onto the race. They've just gone through the tough bit. The tough bit is the start of the race. You get yourself all amped up for it and all excited for it, and suddenly you've got to do it again.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, to be honest, you just got to get on with it, haven't you? Sorry, I know, but Mr. No Sympathy over here. No, you just got to get on with it, haven't you? You just, you know, oh, that's happened. Okay, right, put it, you know, chuck it into the back of your mind and get on with it.
Yeah, I mean, there is that. But here's me trying to be sympathetic, and there's Tom there, just absolute psychopath.
Oh, you know, anyway, but up to that point, I tell you what, BMW were going great guns, weren't they? Those guys in Chevy, I mean, Chevy, though they weren't clearly quicker in the initial stages, they weren't letting BMW get away.
No, I think we were seeing something that we kind of mentioned earlier on as well. We saw BMW, which is historically pretty bad in its tyres, start falling back into the clutches of Carrazza in that Chevy. A bit further down the field, just before we had our red flag, we also saw Subaru starting to catch up to the back of Mercedes, and you could see on the straights Mercedes just pulling away from it, and Kylian Drummond like flashing, "Come on, please, let me go by, let me go." But you know, I mean, that's never going to work. That's never going to work. No one's like that. These guys are going to fight for every inch of circuit. But a shame we had to red flag that one. But we're looking to get that back underway as soon as possible. Until then, again, a chance for our drivers to have maybe a little bit of a drink.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick break there because, as I said, you could cut the tension with a cricket bat.
What did that mean?
It was the Murray Walker line. Have you never heard that one before?
No.
No?
I sometimes think that you make these things up, or you have some sort of weird dream and you think it's reality.
It's entirely plausible, I won't lie to you.
I also imagine you just like smashing this bat at the table.
trying to cut the tension.
Why isn't it working? I don't understand.
Goodness me. Yeah, well, anyway, weird analogies aside, it's really great to, as I say, to be back here. And
really
though, of course, we didn't get into sort of the business end of the race, we got a good idea as to sort of where the pace was for certain teams. I mean, Jaguar didn't have a particularly brilliant start. Volkswagen had a shocker with that penalty after 3 corners.
How did Nissan do? I mean, that's what everyone's asking in the chat, definitely.
Is it?
Yeah, definitely. I can see the chat. Everyone's, where's Nissan? Best team. I don't actually know. I didn't look. I don't think they were doing too well, though, at this point. But, yeah, that, of course, is what they're all playing for there, the trophy. And there is a long, rich history about that, which I admit to not really knowing. So there's Ryota Kokubun, a long-time member of our GT family, very quick, of course, Japanese driver. And here's his takes on Trial Mountain. And, you know, he's very right. It's a very technical circuit. And as I was mentioning earlier on, if you do get that braking wrong, you do actually end up literally in a mountain. So, yeah, not the best thing to do.
No, absolutely not. And, of course, this circuit has, as we mentioned earlier on, been modified for GT7. Of course, the final chicane has been changed. It was a lot more fast and flowing in previous iterations, a lot tighter now, but that also turns it into an overtaking opportunity. And I've just got visions of cars going side by side into the final corner there on the last lap.
Well, it's better than the last final corner where you just ramped over it and just get as much height as possible. But I still got PTSD from I think it was the GT3 Skyline test. I think it was either the last B test or the last A test. I spent literally 2.5 hours trying to gold that, and I still have nightmares. It's thank you, Trial Mountain, for that.
Yeah, I love that circuit just for that, to be honest with you. Oh, goodness me. Some more quotes then from our drivers. Giorgio Mangano says about endurance racing, of course, consistency is hugely important, lap after lap. You've got to keep those lap times close. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? When you watch Formula One and then you look at the lap times over the course of a long race, which, you know, this is akin to that, I guess, in terms of the duration, they're only separated by a few tenths here, a few tenths there.
I mean, like, I like Giorgio, but that quote's akin to water is wet, or, you know, in order to qualify first, you have to hit the fastest time.
Have you seen that video that suggests water isn't actually wet, though?
I don't care. I don't want to. But, I mean, no, you're right. Me being sort of facetious aside, you have to be quick, and that's where races are won. If you can go out there and do a lap time within a tenth each time, and the guy in front maybe is pushing a bit harder, but then makes a mistake every now and then, you're going to come out on top, and also keep your tyres in better nick as well. So, yeah, Giorgio, again, someone else has been around for a while. Guess what? Giorgio was our first ever winner of a live event back at Nürburgring. I think I've said it like 14,000 times over my career here, but it just sort of shows you how long he's been around. And he's been around, you know, since the early days of GT Sport. Now, of course, in GT7, completely different game, different physics set. He's doing fairly well. And if you're playing along with Jimmy Broadbent bingo at home, that's eyes down for a full house next time, hey? Yeah, right, no cricket bats. No. But, yeah, I mean, that's actually something we've not really spoken about yet. Is cricket bats? This is a unique challenge because a lot of these guys, of course, came from GT Sport. Some haven't. A lot of new faces here as well. And GT7, completely different tyres. I mean, the great example last year is the hard tyre in these events. It was basically the hard tyre is lava. You know, any strategy, it was like, oh, do hard tyre for 1 lap, then throw that in the bin, and then get on the softs like 40 laps. Now it's a bit more, I think, representative. I think it'd be fair to say. It's more usable, isn't it? And that's the thing we're seeing with these drivers is that, okay, they have to use it for a minimum of 14 laps, but some drivers, I reckon, are going to use it for more than that because, of course, that durability is akin to the difference in pace that you have as well. Last time, as you say, it was 2.5 seconds slower depending on the circuit and the configuration of the cars, etc., that you were racing in. And now it's a little bit sort of, you know, less bad is probably not the correct way of putting it, but you get what I mean by that, that it's a lot more usable. So
the lap times are closer, therefore you don't drop as much time as you would do.
Yeah, you're right. And I think someone who knows a bit better than that is Emily Jones, who's currently with Julia.
Don't worry.
I don't know how you do this every day.
Fine, just look at me. Ignore it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Hello. Look who I found. I've got Emily Jones here. So, welcome, first of all. Obviously, you were racing at Sophie before, but this is sort of the kind of, you've done your bit of racing now. This is the first time you're like not competing. So is it kind of nice to just be here and just hang out with everybody?
Yeah, it's
no
lovely.
stress.
Oh my God, no stress. I can watch them race. I mean, like, this is like the highest DR amount in the world right now.
Yeah.
So many good drivers. I can just hang out. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what's it been like, being part of the kind of GT community? I mean, do you enjoy it? I mean, what do the guys like to hang out with?
They're super lovely. I think it's great talking with people from other regions and all around the world. Like, I don't know, it's so great to see, like, talk to them, and I don't know, they're all lovely. It's really lovely. Yeah.
I mean, how much? Okay, I mean, what'd be quite good is obviously, for like people at home and stuff. Like in terms of like when you come and like you compete and things like that. Like, how much time and practice do you have to put in to be like good like these guys? Like, how much dedication are we talking? Because it looks like a lot. I'm not sure I'm into that much work.
Yeah, well, when I raced in 2020, so I made the World Finals in 2020, and that was like every day. It was like literally every day of the week. I was driving hours every night, and I reckon it's the same for most drivers here.
Yeah.
Maybe some can do a little bit less, but I reckon, yeah, it's a full-time job almost, or a part-time job. It's a lot of work.
Yeah,
So,
but I mean,
yeah.
is it worth it though? All those hours, like when you can actually be on the stage and compete here.
100%. Like, these events are so cool, like to get flown to another country around the world, and I don't know, I think it's an amazing experience. I think these LAN events are so much fun. So I think it's 100% worth it. Like, and this is the party. I know people are taking this very seriously.
but afterwards, it is.
Yeah, this is like the prize. This is what you work for. This is the prize for it all. So I think it's great.
What's your setup like at home? Like how like bougie is your setup?
It depends. So my current GT setup is a desk and a chair that's on wheels, and then a cardboard box behind it with a bunch of books in it. So it's not very good. But like I
really feel like everyone's is like really like crafty. Like everyone craftily puts it together.
It's a little bit DIY, but I'm hoping to get a better setup soon, and hopefully it's a little bit more comfortable. I use a similar wheel to the wheel that's used here. So yeah, very similar.
Yeah, it does feel like I've got a wheel and pedals at home, but I just never get, because I don't know how to.
You should give it a go.
No, I should, but then what do I do it? My coffee tables are the wrong height. My desk isn't the right thing.
It's pretty tricky, yeah.
Yeah, they did actually offer me a rig just before. This was before lockdown. We knew was happening.
Okay.
What an idiot! I didn't say yes. I could have had like a full rig for the whole lockdown.
These are amazing. These rigs are so comfy as well.
So good. No, I wouldn't have. I'm terrible.
Maybe you could be driving. You'd be qualified.
No, I don't think any amount of 2 years being trapped at home would make me as good as these guys. It's just, I don't really understand the concept of braking. I think it's just not within my remit.
It takes a little bit. It's probably the first thing you need to learn, and then the steering part comes second. But yeah.
I'm like that with other games as well. It's like fighting games. I never really block. I don't know. There's just like I have like
button mashing. It's the way to do it. Yeah.
No. Well, look, we're sorry that you're not competing this year, but you're going to be back. I'm sure again, definitely.
Maybe. Honestly, this is the biggest motivator. It's hard during COVID to like find the motivation to keep driving, and then you come to these events, and it's honestly, like, I'm super jealous. I'm very jealous of everybody here, so it makes you want to get back on the sim.
Relaxed. Much more than they
Oh my God, I'm just chilling, watching, and they're all stressing. I'm sitting behind the AMG guys, and they're just like
focused.
It's wild.
Just enjoy the moment.
Chill, yeah.
Definitely. Well, look, thank you so much for talking to us, Emily. We'll probably chat to you again at some point and drag you into it. Let's chuck it back now to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, cheers, Jules. Cheers, Emily. Great to catch up with Emily Jones. Great to have her back here as part of the GT family as well. I tell you what, she's not wrong about those rigs being comfy. I'd be lying if I told her I hadn't fallen asleep in mine before.
Maybe you're lazy, mate, so, I don't be doing that. But,
good point, yeah.
I mean, she's got the right idea. Coming in and basically just hanging about. I mean,
sitting here, vibing, it's great.
I wouldn't mind that, drinking your hands, watching that. But, Emily, of course, very fast driver in her own right. I remember I've driven against her in races before thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm pretty decent. I'll be able to beat her. No, absolutely just washed the floor with me, ruined. So, really good. I think it's not wash the floor, it's wipe the floor.
Well, I was going to say, your analogies are going all over the place, and you were talking about me and my cricket bats.
Well,
one thing I did want to talk to you about, whilst we've got a little bit of a break, I mean, Jimmy, you've been racing in the sim world for a long time, and now, of course, you're racing in the real world. Yeah, I know. But I wanted to talk to you about that. I mean, what's it like going from racing on your sim in your shed or your house to being in a real race car and actually being a flipping racing driver.
Well, no. Well, first thing we can talk about is, sim racing works. I think GT Academy proved that back in the day. Lucas Ordonez sort of sitting back there somewhere, and Jan Mardenborough, of course, Florian Strauss, all people here that have gone through sim racing and ended up as full-fledged racing drivers. Now, I'm not quite there yet. I lack this thing. What's it called? Talent. But it's been amazing how much actually transitions over. Things like, I know it sounds silly, but what line to take, how aggressive to hit the brake pedal. Big things that when I actually got into the car for the first time, people were thinking, actually, no, you know most of it already. It's now just applying that and gaining the confidence. So I think that you could take pretty much any of our drivers here, put them in a race car, and they would surprise some people.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? Is that you see it at home and you think, oh, what are they seeing on a sim rig for? And then they go and do it in a real car. But you're like, yeah, but that crossover skill's tangible, isn't it? Whereas if you're sitting there playing FIFA, it's not the same as going and kicking penalties with England, is it?
I've got to say, though, it's a lot easier to explain a track car to a potential girlfriend than explain the sim room.
Potential girlfriend? How many of them do you have lined up?
I've got a line. Sorry, Emily. Sorry. No, but yeah, I mean, you can spend quite a bit on the sim rig, but the thing is, you're never going to get as much seat time in a real car as you are in a sim rig. I know people, maybe see F1 or see other things and think, oh, these guys get loads of time in the car. In reality, for my races, I get about 30 minutes in the car before actually going out and then doing a qualifying lap. These guys can have literally thousands of laps if they want to, and it's fine.
We've spoken to them, haven't they? They practice for some of them up to 8 hours a day. I mean, it's an incredible amount of commitment that, I can't believe that they're able to put that in. Anyway, Trial Mountain, of course, is the circuit that we're competing on here for this race. Let's take a closer look then at the layout of this circuit, because I absolutely adore Trial Mountain. As Jimmy mentioned, it's been in Gran Turismo since the first iteration back in 1997, and it's gone on to become an absolute classic. I only wish that it could be real, because I tell you what, I'm dying to take my S2000 and just hoon it around there.
Just crash it into the barrier.
Decidedly accurate, thank you.
How old were you in 1997, Tom?
I was, 6-7 months when the game came out.
So you're straight on it then?
Oh yeah, no, exactly, yeah. I was, straight out, straight on the game, and I've been here ever since.
Yeah, I mean, I was of gaming age at that point. I remember one of my fondest memories, and I thank Gran Turismo for this very much, is like sitting there with my granddad playing these games. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, but it was a really awesome moment to sit there. And Trial Mountain is one of those tracks that is cemented as part of that memory. So yes, a lot of good memories for me here. I'm sure for a lot of you guys at home as well. And looking forward to getting our race back underway. Hopefully not too far away now at this point, but our driver's looking fairly chill at the moment, so we might have a little while to go yet. Again, here are the race details. 48 laps. I'm not sure that's going to be the full lap. We're going to do a complete restart or not, but we'll tell you as soon as we know. Group 3 cars, racing, hard, medium and soft Michelin tyres there as well, with a tyre wear rate of ×2. Now, it doesn't sound like much, but bear in mind these tyres are basically going through stints of at least 14 laps. They can wear away pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyre wear, as you say, tyre wear rate ×2. That's the equivalent of doing 2 laps to 1, effectively. So you do 1 lap, and it's the equivalent to doing 2.
Maths.
Yes, I know. I mean, maths would have been my strong point, Jimmy, to be honest with you. But yeah, I was able to at least work that one out. And yeah, so if you do 14 laps, it's equivalent to doing 28 laps. And I mean, this is a corner-heavy track as well. There's a lot of sort of medium, fast-flowing corners. I reckon the outside left, because of course it's an anti-clockwise layout, is going to be, sorry, outside front rather, I should say, on the right-hand side, is going to be a little bit more worn.
So you can't do maths, you can't do left and right.
No.
Anything else you struggle with that you know about? Or no?
Commentating in general, really, to be honest with you.
Well, here's our predicted strategy sheet for this. So try and wrap your head around this. Lots of numbers, lots of colours. If you're like me, you get overstimulated very easily. It's, oh, look at it. But basically, we think that soft tyre isn't going to last as long as anything else, which makes sense, of course. It's the fastest tyre out there, but it does wear the quickest. We have the medium tyre as well, which is a nice middle ground between the soft tyre and the hard tyre. And the hard tyre, which is very durable, but isn't that quick. And that hard tyre will pretty much do that lap time all the way through the race, whereas the soft tyre will gradually fall off as time goes on. I've heard rumours of the Subaru being able to do 20 laps in the soft tyre. I will believe that when I see it.
Well, absolutely. Anyway, let's head over to Julia Hardy. She is, of course, with our former Nations Cup champion, a man who knows a thing or two about being quick around racetracks in racing cars. It is Mick Hizal.
It is indeed. Mick, hello. How are you doing?
Hello, Julia. I'm doing great, thank you. And also, it sounds great to be here back. I didn't. Oh wow. I really missed the whole thing here, like seeing all of you guys here. But yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's I have to say, like coming through the doors of Hangar 7, I thought I was going to come back and feel like super like crazy happy, but I felt like a little bit sad because it's like we all spent so much time together, you know, like 6 times a year, different countries, and then to lose that was kind of sad. But I am very happy that we're kind of back here and with the family. Who did you give the biggest hug to?
Actually, I forgot.
You forgot the hugs, Nick.
I'm sorry.
Outrageous.
Because I had to hug everyone here because it's been so many years when we saw each other the last time. So of course it's like, oh, I see you, big hug. Then I see the competitors, another big hug. But yeah, it's like equal.
Is it kind of? I mean, because obviously you know you're not competing. Is it better, worse to watch everyone else doing it? Good things, bad things? What do you think?
Well, personally, I kind of consider this as a free holiday. So like it's like traveling here, watching all the other drivers basically competing here, and you're just sitting here on the couch being like, okay, you just race ahead. I will just watch you guys driving there.
Yeah, I mean, it must be kind of nice. Do you find yourself though watching like when they have like a strategy and stuff, being like, oh, I wouldn't have done that? Are you judgy when you watch them because you're so good?
In terms of the racing strategy, I don't really know because the drivers already know the best strategies for their team. But of course, if there's like a driving move, like for example, one driver trying to overtake the driver in front of them, of course, maybe I'll be judging it in the end. It's like maybe saying, was it clean or was it a little bit dirty? Can it be done a little bit better? But rather, like instead of that, I'm basically just trying to enjoy everything there.
Yeah, you're not like offering advice. Like just whispering, like, hey, you know what? Just start on the mediums. No, not yet.
Not yet. Maybe at the end of the race.
Yeah, I mean, what's been sort of like when you think back to your time, you know, racing in Gran Turismo. What were the best moments for you? I mean, aside from obviously winning, I presume, but do you have some kind of big standout moments? You know, like particular places that we went that really sort of you have like a good fond memory of.
For me personally, it's actually Salzburg.
Yeah?
Because Salzburg was like the first event for me back in 2018. And when I was competing there, I also won the Manufacturers' Cup there for Nissan.
Oh, yeah,
And then for 2019, I managed to win the Nations Cup there for the first time. And you know, with the 2022 Salzburg World Tour event, I'm basically here as just enjoying my holidays, I guess, for the first time. But yeah, there has been like so many great moments, like with all the different locations, the different World Tour events we had in the past. There were like so many different unique things. For example, the environment, the city itself, and
the dinners.
The dinners.
The dinners.
So I can't really decide which one is truly the best, but Salzburg has a special place in my heart.
So now, you know, obviously we're kind of like, we have Monaco at the end of the year, but for like next year for GT, what should we kind of manifest as a location in the world that we should go? What do you reckon? Where should we go for Gran Turismo World Series next year? And then let's try and get everyone to agree to it verbally while we're here.
Personally, I would like to see London, actually.
Really? No, that's boring. I live there. I don't want to go to London.
No, it's like having an event in the UK, personally. Or what is it like?
Right. If we don't do that, where else cool could we go? Think of somewhere good.
Well, personally, I would maybe say Istanbul for Turkey.
Ooh, that's a good shout.
Yeah, but also for well, it's a tough
Brazil
one.
or something.
Sao Paulo, probably.
That'd be good. Yeah.
I mean, there are like so many different locations you could maybe consider in the end. But it's just, yeah, maybe trying to think about it. I think there are still like many potential great locations out there which we could basically consider to visit it. But yeah, of course, for me personally, having a World event in Turkey would be great. But also like revisiting Nürburgring again, because it's like, what is it, the home of the motorsport with the whole track. But I wouldn't be disappointed to go anywhere because every single event is like unique, special, with all the people here, us being able to visit the whole country, and not the whole country, I mean like the city. Yeah, it's truly great.
It is great. So obviously GT7, have you been playing much yourself? Have you been kind of getting into it? Yeah?
Due to my studies, it's a little bit hard.
Well, because of course you're studying a lot as well. Yeah. A little bit though. You must have had a little bit of a look.
Yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of the time trial to still maintain my skill, like the speed, I mean. But in terms of the championship, like racing against each other with the tire wear and fuel consumption being also turned on, not so much recently, but I still try to do it like on the last couple of days, so that I can still see if I'm still up there, being able to compete against the fastest drivers here.
I mean, it's kind of, you sort of just want to know a little bit. I mean, you can't ever really let it go, can you?
What exactly?
Well, you know, like at least keeping up and just trying to, you know, see if you can still compete. Does that? I suppose that doesn't ever leave. I'm so useless. I cannot be competitive, but no, you haven't still got that little thing inside you that's just like, come on, just a bit more to win.
Well, to be fair, like when I was watching these drivers during the qualifying session and also like them about to do the race.
Yeah.
Of course, I had the thing in my mind, thinking like, I kind of miss the racing actually.
Yes, we're bringing you back in.
Who knows?
This was our trick. We're like, oh, just come on a free holiday.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll be back in the future.
Yes, this is what we wanted. This is the soundbite we
But for
wanted.
now, I rather focus on my studies so that these are done.
Yeah.
Who knows?
How much longer of the study so that we can work it into our timeline?
I mean, luckily I managed to be done with all of my examinations for the bachelor degree.
Yeah.
So for the next semester, I wanted to start working my bachelor thesis, like on the paper.
Okay, yeah.
And if I'm done with that, I would be done with my bachelor degree.
Yeah.
But it depends on if I want to do or if I can do the master degree right afterwards. Because I also wanted to do the masters.
Yeah.
But for now, it's like trying to finish the bachelor degree first and then thinking the other
Take
stuff.
like a little 1-year Gran Turismo sabbatical and then do the masters after it. I think that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, why not?
Well, look, Mick, it's such a joy to have you here. It really is a pleasure, and I know like all the drivers are super glad to have you here. And online as well, everyone's always going, they love you. They love you. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh, look, it's honestly, you guys have no idea what it really means to genuinely to all of us to have everyone back in this room because, you know, like we say GT family a lot, but it does really honestly mean that, the community we have here. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now because I'm going to throw to the wonderful, wonderful news that we announced a little bit earlier on, which is that Gran Turismo and Dior are joining together to make something quite incredible.
We collaborated with Gran Turismo to create a car for the game, a racing suit, a helmet, and some boots and gloves, like a full kind of package. The starting point for the project was really looking at the glamorous adverts of Dior Parfum from like the 60s to the 80s. They were sort of evoking this glamorous lifestyle. Different perfumes would sponsor car races like the Dakar Rally, the Le Mans 24-hour race. The car, it's this incredibly limited to Tommaso Mangusta.
It was thought in a like global way, from the car to the outfit. Those like nice colors, they are pop but are not too flashy. The sponsoring was like put in specific places. The right logos were used from the right period because we used like that 60s and 70s logos, also with a CD diamond. The Dior oblique was used in a very subtle way, more like tonal on the outfit. The sole is something that we have in Diorizon. We changed the upper to have something more sporty and more related to what car footwear should be. In the history of the game, but also of racing cars, I think the yellow is something like quite iconic.
We chose the cream colour for the car. The shape itself is so strong and it's got all these sponsorship logos over it. So we actually wanted the car itself to look quietly kind of understated. 1947 is a very important number for Dior. It is the year that Christian Dior founded the Maison. So whenever we're doing any sort of project at Dior, we always look directly back into the archive, find a way of connecting it always to Monsieur Dior himself.
The idea of having a big French couture house collaborating with the most iconic race car game was just amazing. And I think the last edition of Gran Turismo is so elevated in terms of options and luxury that it was a perfect marriage on that project.
Super excited to see what the partnership with Dior and Gran Turismo will bring in the future. As you can see, they're, of course, already kicking off in a really, really positive light. Looking forward to seeing that being brought into the game and, of course, having a new partner within Gran Turismo. Can't be a bad thing, can it?
I want some free kit.
You always want some free kit. You're just on the scrounge everywhere you go.
It's a Yorkshireman in me. Like,
you're from Hastings. You can't get any more southern.
I have... He's like, anyway, yeah, I mean, really cool to see someone like Dior get interested with GT and partner up for stuff like that. Of course, it's the big names getting involved, and looking forward to seeing how that ends up. That stuff hopefully is. Do you know when that's coming into game yet, or any of that?
Not officially at the moment, but I've been told it will be in the near future.
Tom Brooks leaking information. You see it live here,
like Julia Hardy trying to get Mick Hizal back into the game. They're trying to get that cheeky little soundbite out there.
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great to see Mick here. I mean, I was commentating, well, as were you, when he took the championship back in 2019. I remember that just like release of emotion as he went over the line, and I missed that because I think that's sort of what it's all about here. These guys, they've definitely got a game face, but as soon as it's over, it all just comes out.
Well, yes, do you remember that back in Monaco in 2019? We were sat there and he just seemed tense all weekend. There was just this like, you can always see it in somebody's shoulders when they're just sort of carrying the weight of the world on them, and it's that release of him afterwards was just like, I think it was exhaustion above anything else, wasn't it?
I think that was the most commanding win we've ever seen.
Oh, it was amazing,
by
wasn't
quite
it?
some way. I mean, like, he was making guys who are fantastic drivers look thoroughly average. So we want him back. You know what I want? I want Clash of the Titans. I want I want Gallo. I want Miyazono. I want Fraga. I want Hizal there as well. Stick them all together and put them in a race. And I think that would be one of the best things to watch.
Construction Derby, isn't it?
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
No, oh, goodness me. I mean, of course, it is the World Series Showdown that we've got for Gran Turismo in 2022. Of course, if we look back to what happened at round one not so long ago, I mean, saying not so long ago, it feels like a bit of a lifetime ago, but in reality, it was only, what, a couple of months ago, something like that. But, of course, the big thing here for the Manufacturers' Cup is that two of the drivers who were doing very well in that, I mean, of course, Nico Romero for Hyundai and Takuma Miyazono for Subaru, not here for this one.
For Genesis, my friend.
For Genesis.
Old
habits die hard, eh?
So both those guys not here, which of course sort of led the way for Nissan and Hafidi, but they messed it up. So what's the point? What's the point?
Well, yeah, exactly. Anyway, let's have a look, shall we, at some highlights from round one of the Gran Turismo World Series from the Manufacturers' Cup and indeed the Nations' Cup as well. Here we are then, ready to go. Manufacturers' Cup 2022 World Series is underway here at Watkins Glen. Igor Fraga leads the field down towards the first corner from Hafidi, from Takuma Miyazono as we come in towards turn number one. So Hafidi closing up then on the brakes. But of course, this being a rolling start, the field relatively spread out, so we shouldn't expect any overtaking moves through the first couple of corners at least. But once they get a bit of heat into their tyres and brakes, maybe that's when we'll see drivers beginning to strike as we ride on board here with Kamasa looking quite close onto the back of Nicky Romero here and the Genesis then. Is he going to be able to launch a move as he goes into the slipstream, pulls to the outside then as we come down the back straight into the chicane, has to back out of it, not quite close enough to mount an attack at the moment. You can see Miyazono then going through into the right-hander and he's coming into the pit lane, so he's making his stop at the end of the first lap. So he's going to drop right to the back of the field then here. He's making his mandatory pit stop, going to try and run a bit of clean air. Adam Zapai also coming in at the end of lap one.
That's really interesting because you'd think you want to try and stay in the train and try and take the slipstream around him because the draft is worth a lot of time around Watkins Glen. At the moment, it seems, as fast as that, from what I can see, currently belongs to Romero. So he is... he's out on circuit in that draft. So what I'm looking for really is Miyazono to go quicker. The lap time we have up there I don't think is the one he's actually done at the moment. So we'll see what his next lap is. But if Miyazono's strategy is going to work with the early pit stop, and those, of course, who are pitted early, then they need to be doing some good lap times now, because otherwise the guys in front are getting free time by just sitting in the tow. And we see there Romero now moving up into second as Hafidi comes into the pits with the GTR. Great car, the GTR, of course. I've no bias at all for me.
Good to see that we're still on a new platform and some things never change.
Exactly. This and forever. But yeah, interesting to see him pit now, because what we want to see now is where Miyazono comes out in relation to Hafidi in the GTR. So it's come around the corner now, and I don't see. Oh, there you go. So, interesting. Miyazono comes out ahead of Hafidi. So that's actually worked out for Takuma Miyazono, who's just set the fastest lap too, a 44.9 in clean air. So, as usual, he makes us look like idiots up here in the commentary booth, and does a strategy I think won't work, and then it's working for him at the moment. But, of course, he was earliest to switch onto that tyre, so come the end of the race, he's going to have the most tyre wear. Now coming into the pit lane, really maximising that pit entry as well. As you said, you've got to make sure you're inside that white, that yellow line there on the way in, otherwise you'll get slapped with a penalty. So Romero coming in at the same time, same strategy as Igor Fraga. So now we get to see how Miyazono's done. Here he comes, we're on board, and again, another fastest lap from him last time, a 44.7 on the last lap. This lap, let's see what he's done around here as well. And not a fastest lap, but still very quick, only just slower than his best lap of the race. So he's been putting in fantastic pace. He should be leading here.
Let's see where he comes out then. So Miyazono does emerge ahead of Igor Fraga, and he does emerge ahead of Nicky Romero. This is Fraga versus Mehdi Hafidi then side by side. So Nissan versus Toyota, and Hafidi then, who got the undercut, has managed to make it work against Igor Fraga, and now is up into effectively a net second place, because of course the drivers ahead, the top three, have not made their pit stop. So Fraga needs to retaliate as quickly as he possibly can.
You can see Igor Fraga looking like, again, nothing in there. Well, Nicky Romero is fighting for his life on that wheel. Down the bottom, it looks to the inside now of Igor Fraga. A great place to get by here if you can get on the brakes there. Heavy on the brakes up the inside. He's alongside the rear panel. Now they're side by side coming up that hill. And, of course, the next corner is a left-hander. Igor Fraga's going to have the advantage there. Really drives him out to the outside. Gives him no room. Runs in deep into the corner. Sits on the apex. That's textbook defending there from Fraga. And Romero's going to have to try again next lap. Looking forward at the car you're catching, which is Igor Fraga again in that draft there. Fraga goes defensive into the bus stop, which is the right hand. Romero, though, I think is going to drive just straight past him. Here comes Spinelli too. They have to try and go up the inside at the same time. Can't quite get by. Romero up into sixth place then in the Genesis past Toyota. And now, Fraga getting a little bit sideways on the way out, just catching the grass. You can see really trying to push the limits of the track there. He's paid for the racetrack. He's going to use all of it. As we now come into T1, again, absolutely vital for your lap time here. And again, Fraga's in the worst place he could possibly be, which is in front, going up the hill here. So he's going to be giving the draft to Benelli. He'll come across now to take the line. Benelli's going to be forced a long way around. This is the right way to drive this part of the circuit if you are trying to defend, but not quite able to stay in front of Benelli there. The AMG just has a little bit more straight line grunt than the Toyota does, and Free goes up into seventh place. Now, while this is going on, the fastest man on track, do you want to take a guess who it is? It is Takuma Miyazono, who just did the fastest lap of the race. He's the only guy, he was the only guy in the 44s. Romero's just joined him, but a 44.6 on the last lap compared to these guys squabbling in the mid-45s. So although only on fourth on track at the moment, he is catching Adam Wilk in the Aston Martin hand over fist. And when these guys pit, I have no doubt that Miyazono will be leading this race. Right now, Serrano and Gamata coming into the pit, so this is going to be a change of lead. Will come in as well. He does okay, so there you go. You were right, Tom. That's the first time I've ever said that, I think.
Thank you very much.
In like 4 years. And Miyazono goes up into the lead. The gap now 4.4 seconds back to Hafidi. Will Romero get out in front? I think Romero's just actually dived Hafidi behind there. Yeah, he has. Nicky Romero there up into second place. We just caught the end of that in the Genesis.
This is looking really exciting between these two drivers as they come through into the final series of corners at Watkins Glen in the first race for the Manufacturers' Cup. And Fraga, he's just got to place that Toyota Supra in the right positions, and he will be absolutely spot on. Meanwhile, Takuma Miyazono, it is a perfect start to their Manufacturers' Cup for Subaru and for the Japanese driver. He wins here at Watkins Glen for round one of the GT World Series. It's a debut podium for Genesis with Nicky Romero in second, third for Hafidi, and look at this side by side between Fraga and Serrano, separated by just a couple of hundredths of a second, right to the line.
Yeah, so I'm here with Valerio Gallo, who obviously you all know, or you all should know. Valerio, how's it going?
Easy.
Yeah? All right, just having a nice time? Everyone's just having a nice time.
Yeah, first of all, I'm really happy to be here after 2.5 years of being at home, having to meet all the guys again, and sharing the racing once again all together. So magical.
Who are you most excited to see? Who are your favorites? Can you say?
let's say for the race, yeah, we just saw, for example, Baptiste Benoit that unfortunately in the last round of the Nations Cup he had some issues, but yeah, we just saw that he got pole position and also by a lot. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to him because I feel like he deserves it. And yeah, I mean, for me, it's my favorite and at the moment. So yeah, let's see.
I mean, how do you think it's going to feel? Because obviously, you know, we have had, you know, that time of like racing at home. You know, you're at home, you're comfortable. Do you think it's going to be weird being back and being on the stage? Because it's a lot, you know, to like perform at your best when everybody's kind of watching. Does it affect you? Do you think you'll be bothered by it tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we are basically we've been in our comfort zone in all these years, and we are not used to that live event vibe anymore, you know. And I think now is the moment to restart again and do it in the right way. So yeah, I mean, we can do it.
I mean, you had some pretty stellar results from being at home by yourself. I mean, how was it? How was last year for you, like, and all of your successes?
I mean, just magical.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like it's been a long pursuit of this title.
You fought hard for
yeah,
it,
exactly.
definitely.
Exactly, and of course, in the online event, we had the opportunity to still race, which I want to still thank about all the Gran Turismo community out there to still be able to host the events, even during the COVID restrictions. And yeah, in the last season, it was just for me such a special season. It's a season I won't ever forget because I was really, like, let's say, reaching the top.
Yeah.
On every race, and that gave me such a confidence boost. So yeah.
Yeah. How did you celebrate afterwards? What did you do?
I don't remember.
I mean, it must have been that good.
First of all, I wanted to celebrate in a much better way, like we are right now.
I mean, we can do it. We can do it on Sunday anyway. We'll give you like a little celebration as well.
Yeah, exactly. I just celebrated, you know, with the video call we had after the race. So with all the drivers here and Kazunori-san, which unfortunately isn't here, and yeah, so I couldn't do much else. Of course, I just enjoyed the celebration with my family and friends. But yeah, I couldn't be more.
Yeah. Do you think being part of like the Gran Turismo sort of fraternity and family has kind of changed your life in some way, like changed how you look at things? Did it change your life?
Actually, yes. I was, for myself, one of those guys that wasn't really having many experience abroad and many experiences like this, and big like this. And, you know, like I was that kind of guy that wasn't so social. And now I'm like the total opposite.
You are?
Yeah.
You won't be quiet, if anything.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing. No, but it's great because, you know, this is like the safe space where, you know, you get to know everyone. And after winning, you know, you must get to walk around with a bit of a swag amongst the guys.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. So how do you feel kind of going ahead to tomorrow? Like, what are you thinking?
I don't have many strategies in my mind. I mean, I tried the races, but I'm just looking forward to my driving and focus on my driving style, first of all, because when I know that I'm driving well, I even enjoy more the races. And yeah, I don't think too much about the rest, honestly.
I think you're going to do fine. You know, I think you're going to do fine tomorrow. I think, you know, you've got the ability and the ability to do it. You've got the ability to win. It's the same. It's just think of it like your house. It's like being in your home and then being that kind of zen state, and you'll smash it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Drive fast, don't crash. That's anyway. Look, thank you so much for chatting us, Valeria. Good luck for tomorrow. And we're going to chuck it back over to Tom and Jimmy.
Your influence is spreading, my man. I mean, like, drive fast, don't crash. I've been hearing that for the last 4 years, and now Julia's saying it.
I think, to be fair, I think Tom said it before I did, but I'm taking full credit, so it's fine. That's how we do things here.
Yeah, I mean, good to catch up with Valerio there. Of course, he's competing in the Nations Cup, the second of the events that we have here after the Manufacturers' Cup here today. Nations is a bit of a different kettle of fish, though, because, of course, we've got regional finals taking place here tomorrow. Then, of course, we've got the grand final. And, of course, it's not 3 drivers in one team. It's everybody out for themselves.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke about sort of endurance racing versus sprint racing. Tomorrow is sprint racing. It's basically... Carnage isn't the worst. it's not carnage, but a lot more aggression. You're going to see a lot more lunges, a lot more big moves, because every moment counts in Nations Cup. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow.
Tactical Carnage, I think we'll refer
Tactical
to.
Carnage.
Tactical Carnage.
It's a good band name, that.
That is a brilliant band. I'm going to trademark that straight away. Anyway, of course, we had round 1 for the World Series a few weeks ago as well, with the Manufacturers Cup as well as the Nations. So let's have a look, shall we, at some highlights from the Nations Cup and see what went down. Round 1 for the Gran Turismo World Series Nations Cup. Lights out and we go racing then. Good start from Fraga. Great start, though, from Lucas Benelli as they go side by side down to the first corner. Keep an eye out for Blajan versus Beauvoir on the second row of the grid. Down towards T1, though, it's Benelli who takes the lead away from Igor Fraga, from Patrick Blajan, from Baptiste Beauvoir. Then comes Matt McEwen, who's going side by side here with Kanata Kawakami into the left-hander. McEwen just about managing to keep it ahead of the Japanese driver. On the run-up towards the hill we go. There's already been a penalty there handed to Jose Serrano down in 13th place, who's dropped back from his 11th starting position. And here comes Patrick Blajan down the straight in towards the bus stop. He's got Baptiste Beauvoir alongside him for company. Beauvoir tries to get the long way around the outside into the braking zone and manages to make it stick through into third.
Yeah, really nice move there. And Blajan sideways into the barrier there, and now holding up the cars behind. So just a little bit on exit there. Just, I think, picked up the throttle a bit too violently. Beauvoir looking up the inside of Fraga, using that tyre advantage. Through he goes with McEwen following through as well. He might do. He's going to be on the outside here, though, for the left-hand. You don't really want to be here. It's quite difficult. He's going to send it into that soft tyre onto the marble zone, and he can't quite get that to stick.
Near is Matt McEwen, though, on the soft tyres against the medium shod Baptiste Beauvoir. They run side by side on the run down into the bus stop. He's going to be later on the brakes. Here is Matt McEwen. Can he outbrake Beauvoir? Yes, he can. Really deep on the ragged edge of adhesion there. Runs it a bit deep into the second part of it, off onto the grass. That's going to allow Blajan to come through. Bit of contact as Blajan comes up the inside, and Andrew Lee is ready to try and join the party there as well. Half-second penalty for track limits there for Matt McEwen to compound his woes.
So Lopez now is the one holding up the train as Benelli gets involved as well. Benelli, of course, has pitted, so he needs to get by these guys as quick as possible for the sake of this race. All the time he spends here fighting with Kawakami and Lopez is going to hurt him later on.
Benelli's hunkered down into that seat. He always seems to have a really unique driving style. He sends it up the inside, bit of contact there, a bit robust from Lucas Benelli. We're not used to, we're used to seeing that, I should say. He's not afraid of getting his elbows out, is the Brazilian driver. He goes up into 9th place. His next target will be Coque Lopez. You can see him there feathering the throttle.
So, here we are. Baptiste Beauvoir coming under that medium tyre, going into the soft tyre. This should have happened last lap, Baptiste. I think you've lost a bit too much time doing this. I'll be interested to see where he comes out in relation to everybody else. So here is Benelli, of course. Benelli was a fair chunk ahead of Beauvoir before they came into the pits, about 4 seconds there. You can see him almost winning the car.
Kawakami and Benelli under investigation. We just saw a graphic flash up on your screen. That is because, of course, Benelli ploughed into the back of Kawakami. It didn't cost him too much, other than, I'm sure, a little bit of pride damage for Kawakami. But either way, Benelli's been given a 1-second penalty for colliding with another car as the race leader Fraga into the pits for the mediums.
We saw that coming. It was a certified Benelli moment where he just chucks it in, bashes the guy out of the way, and yeah, I think that's a fair penalty.
Here's Valerio Gallo trying to recover something from this race. He goes side by side with Patrick Blajan down into the bus stop. Gallo's on the soft tyres. Look at the confidence he's got under braking as he goes through on the Hungarian driver into 6th place. Blajan on the slower compound, the hard compound of tyres, just got no answer to that.
That was a swipe.
And it looks like Baptiste Beauvoir is doing okay out there. His pace is pretty good. And is he going to emerge in the race lead? Well, he certainly is, with Benelli just behind.
Yes, that penalty really did hurt Benelli. Obviously, he was leading before, and now he's behind Baptiste Beauvoir. Interestingly, Valerio Gallo is now in 3rd place and quite close to both of these. So you just see him just in the background there. So he's really turned this race around.
As the two previous champions running very close to one another. Look at the traction on the exit that Fraga is able to get as he pushes Fraga onto the grass. There does Gallo into the right-hander, which follows. Gallo just defending everything he can. Tries to get the switch back to Igor Fraga. Lots of traction on the exit, but not quite close enough at the moment to mount a challenge. Gallo placing that Suzuki in every possible position to try and hold on through that left-hander, but Fraga's got the outside line, he's got track position, and he does just about manage to get ahead for third, or does he? Because Gallo once again is still there on the inside, but Fraga eventually gets through. Gallo has to relent, drops down to fourth.
At that point, he's sort of let the move go, but as you're saying, yeah, Gallo really struggling now. His lap time's dropped considerably last lap, and again driving Blajan to the wall, just giving him enough space to come back to take his line. So I think Gallo really on the edge of defending there and just getting it wrong at exit. There's contact between Miyazono and Blajan, and just like that, Miyazono being in the right place takes 2 positions at once from P6 up to P4. Gallo the big loser there down to P6, and Blajan, despite all the action, is just where he started.
Blajan really does know that as well, and he's trying to make hay whilst the sun shines into the bus stop. He's going to have a lot more grip under braking. Can he go for the outside line? Keep an eye out in the background for Mangano as well. Side by side as they go through the bus stop then, and Blajan goes through. Gallo's out wide. Mangano goes through. Inestrosa and contact there off into the wall. So Gallo then knows that. He slows up, lets Inestrosa through as Serrano comes on and joins the party there as well, as those two run side by side. So it's Inestrosa versus Serrano up ahead, but Gallo there, well, a simple mistake has cost not only him, but also another driver there too.
Our current race order to go on to the last lap. It's Beauvoir, Benelli and Fraga. Beauvoir! Oh, we were just singing his praises, and he's thrown it away. What did he do?
Must have made a mistake into that bus stop chicane, and that is such a shame for the Frenchman. So he has thrown this race away from certain victory, it seemed like. He's gone off into the wall at the bus stop, and it's now Benelli leading Fraga on the last lap. That is dramatic. Out of the final corner and to the line, it is first blood in 2022. The World Series Nations Cup Round 1 race goes to Lucas Benelli ahead of Igor Fraga. Takuma Miyazono completes the podium. Oh, that was mega, that race as well. I forgot how dramatic it was.
Yeah, I remember being like, Beauvoir's doing so well, and just spun straight away. So what I've learned is just don't speak. Don't commentate.
I can get on board with that. Well, we are finally heading in the right direction. We are not far away from bringing you the rerun of this Manufacturers' Cup race here. You'll be pleased to know we thank you very much indeed for your patience over the last amount of time, however long it's been. To be honest with you, it's very easy to lose track. It's been a little while. But we do very much appreciate your patience, and thank you for sticking with us. We're looking forward to bringing you the Manufacturers' Cup race. And of course, this is now a chance for everything to start again. So, for example, if you're Volkswagen, happy days. If you're AMG, if you're BMW, you've got all that hard work to do again.
Yeah, as you say, it's just a chance to sort of revamp, start getting back into the mindset of there's going to be a race. I've got to think about where I'm going to be at T1. I'm going to not cut the course if you're VW. That's always a good thing to do. And yeah, a second chance for some people there. I mean, it was only early on in the race, of course, so not many strategies had the chance to play out. But of course, everyone did get a chance to look at what everyone else was doing, and now actually have a chance to sort of reset that and maybe do something different if they feel it wasn't quite working for them at the start of the race.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see different tyre strategies coming into play now they've had a few laps. I know we only got 4 before the red flag came out, but they might be thinking, actually, do you know what, that wasn't working for us. I wonder if we go for a quicker or a slower tyre, a different strategy, and try and mix it up a little bit, maybe that will help them get involved in the action more.
Well, they've had a bit of time to discuss it.
Yeah, that much is true.
Yeah, so they've had plenty of time to go over it and see what they want there. But all the competitors just sitting behind the camera from what you're seeing us now. There they are. That was awesome. That's a nice little thing there. And also a reminder that we are live in 6 other languages other than us. You want to be with us, really, don't you? We've got, of course, German. Isn't it? Kazao, he's earning his money tonight, isn't he? He's everywhere. And there's the French guys as well, Fabian and Donald. I was going to say the Italians. They've got big trouble. The Spanish guys up at Lucas. They're the Italians, Emilio and Andrea. Gonzalo and Francisco. And, of course, our Japanese guys as well. And we're now, I think, ready for our race.
Absolutely. Let's get ready then to go, shall we, for the rerun of the Manufacturers' Cup race here for the World Series Showdown. We're ready then to go for action for the Manufacturers Series race here for the World Series Showdown. It is Manufacturers Cup time then, as the drivers are lined up on the grid at Trial Mountain. We're ready to go green here in Salzburg, and this is how the grid is going to line up. Mercedes AMG line up on pole position, a brilliant lap from Baptiste Beauvoir. BMW on the front row alongside them. Next row of the grid is Volkswagen. Didn't have a brilliant start to the first running of the race, but they have got Chevrolet in the Corvette for company on row 2. Row 3 is headed by the 2020 champion Subaru, and they have got the 2019 champions Mazda alongside. Then it is Team Toyota in 7th place. Genesis, new to the Manufacturers Cup in 2022, in 8th place with Porsche just inside the top 10. That is bookended by Mitsubishi. The final row of the grid is completed by Jaguar in P11 and Nissan in P12. So then, there's been a fair amount of time for strategies to change. There's been a lot of discussion amongst the drivers after that red flag, and we're about ready to get the rerun of this one underway.
Looks like all the tyres have stayed the same from what I can see anyway, so no strategy change here. Everyone's quite comfy with what they're doing. Will we see BMW try and bolt at the start again on that soft compounder tyre? Will we see AMG defend a bit more? We have not very long until we find out. Keep an eye on Subaru, very light on its tyres. I think we're going to see it move forward as time progresses, but AMG leading the field to the line as the guys get ready to go for 48 laps here at Trial Mountain.
Yep, absolutely. It is going to be Kazuki Cho, who leads the AMG Mercedes charge then, and will lead the field across the timing line as we get ready then to go green here for the World Series Showdown in the Manufacturers Cup then. Eyes on to the top of your screen. Let's see what will happen and who will be the victor in 48 laps time then. The longest race ever in Gran Turismo World Series history is underway as Cho leads the field down towards the first corner for Mercedes, followed by the soft-shod BMW. Then comes Volkswagen, then comes Chevrolet as they head down towards the first corner. Of course, a rolling start spreads the field out a little bit, and we won't see the moves being made until a little bit later on in the lap. But of course, the difference in tyres, for example, for BMW and for Chevrolet, will allow them to make moves, and Chevrolet are doing just that. Up the inside, through into 3rd place on Volkswagen, and look at BMW as well, all over the rear wing of Mercedes here in the first sector.
Yeah, I'm just watching Mitsubishi as well in the background get past Jaguar for P10, so trying to make the use of that medium compound tyre. Meanwhile, we're seeing a bit of a repeat what we saw from the first attempt at this race. BMW right up now behind Mercedes AMG coming down the back straight in that draft. Now let's see what sort of legs the AMG has, looking directly back at the BMW. The Corvette, a Chevy Corvette behind as well, also very quick in a straight line. BMW gaining, going to go to the inside line. They use that soft tyre, heavy on the brakes, into the next left-hander. There it is, up the inside. BMW, no, that Mercedes still defending there, but not quite going to make that stick on the outside. And I think Mercedes isn't going to lose one place. It might lose two to Corvette. Chevy on the left there, getting squeezed almost into the mountain itself. Mercedes staying ahead for now, but I don't think it's going to be there for long.
Yeah, it's going to be quite in vain there for Kazuki Cho. The thing is as well, all that's doing is backing them up into the Volkswagen in 4th place there as well. You can see just how much more grip Adriano Carrazza has got underneath him with the soft compound of tyres. He's right in the slipstream. Is he going to dive to the inside into the final chicane? You bet he is. Chevrolet up the inside, Carrazza through into 2nd place. But look at that, of course, whilst they've been squabbling, it's not only allowed Volkswagen to close up, Subaru right there as well.
Yeah, all very close now after that. It's given BMW a bit of a chance to get a bit of clear air as well. 1.3 seconds doesn't sound like much, but that is just about outside the slipstream range, which is everything around here, especially if you're trying to get by. So we're looking at Chevrolet right now in 2nd place, just got past Mercedes AMG. Volkswagen still there as well, this time without a penalty. Well done, lads. I'm not getting that straight away. Toyota and Porsche also duking it out a bit further down the field. Porsche with the tyre advantage, but of course those tyres will wear quicker. Looks for a lunge up the inside into the tunnel. A little bit of contact there, I think, between the Porsche and Toyota. Now as we go into the next point, so right-hander, Toyota will have the inside, but Porsche there swoops around the outside. I can't help but think Toyota let them have that a little bit.
Yeah, it was in Nostroza versus Moisov, and one thing's for sure, you don't give half an opportunity to Angel Nostroza, because you give him an inch, he'll take a mile, and he's not afraid to get his elbows out. start, as we have seen. A little bit further up the road, this is Subaru versus Volkswagen, then both on the medium compound of tyres. Haven't made much forward progress in this race, but are indeed the lead medium runners so far. So that's about as good as they can hope for, with the BMW and the Chevrolets, of course, the soft compound of tyre, quite a fair amount quicker over the course of one lap. You'd expect them to get a fair bit of distance. Here comes Subaru, sending it down the inside into the hairpin. Side by side they run. Nice, decisive and clean move there. Volkswagen trying in vain to defend the overtake, but not quite able to do. Kylian Drumont is through into 4th place. Nice overtake there.
That was a big move, really nice there from Drumont. Came from quite a way back there, really using the strength of that in Subaru. I've just heard a contact in the background. I'm not sure if I just, that was something that I might have misheard.
I think it was Porsche versus Volkswagen, you know.
Yeah, I think it's getting a bit leery back there at the moment. But yeah, Subaru up into P4. And what did we say? We said they were going to move forward as the race goes on. I didn't think it would be this quickly, though, as we come on to the end of lap 2 of 48. As we said, the longest ever race we've actually run in one of these live Gran Turismo events. Our definitely longest one we've done in the World Series, because it's the first one we've done live. So it's been a while. So interesting to see how our drivers adapt.
If I may correct myself, I said it was Porsche versus Volkswagen. Porsche versus Mazda, the two teams that look like they made a little bit of contact right down at the back of the grid. Here are a couple of runners a little bit out of position. You can see Mitsubishi and Nissan on the medium shod tyres. In front of them, 3 hard shod runners, including Genesis, who are the immediate competition for them. Here comes Mitsubishi down the inside of Genesis. They're not putting up too much of a fight, so expect that to be the case for Genesis. Didn't qualify particularly that well, and they're going to drop a little bit further back because, of course, they just don't have the pace underneath them, but the race should come to them a little bit later. So this is Porsche versus Mazda that we were talking about here, and Mazda looking like they made a little bit of a mistake. Up the inside goes Ines Stroza there. Wasn't any contact, seemingly, from what we saw on that camera angle. But yeah, Mazda there making a little bit of a mistake, and Mangano, unfortunately, dropping down a position.
See, I knew I sensed something. My sim racing degenerate sensors were tingling. I was like, what's happened out there? What's happened out there? So yeah, we now see what happened. So looking at Subaru on board now with the Subaru. Great pictures as we now come around the long left-hander into this very familiar part of the circuit. I can't tell you how many laps of the circuit I've done at home in various iterations of Gran Turismo. Great to see it in Gran Turismo 7, and we are pulling onto the back of that Mercedes AMG. It looks like that over one lap, the Subaru maybe not so quick, but look at Kylian Drumont putting on a fantastic performance here, definitely filling the shoes of Takuma Miyazono, who unfortunately isn't here due to catching COVID. We wish him a very speedy recovery, but Subaru looking very quick at the moment.
It's quite important, though, for Subaru, because we know that car's not necessarily that quick in a straight line. So they need to be on the back of that Mercedes to be pulled along in that slipstream, effectively. Otherwise, if they lose touch, I reckon they could drop back a bit further.
You see, look on the straight there, Mercedes pulls away. But what it does mean is if the Subaru is faster over the lap and can't get by on a straight line, it's going to get held up by the Mercedes. So we have to start thinking about strategy and what's going to work best over the course of the race. So great section of circuit here. You're really trusting the car. And I'm noticing through there the Subaru is actually flat. Other cars are not flat through there. So you see the difference in the speed. This thing is an absolute weapon in the corners. You see him just like right now, pretty much onto the rear spoiler of that Mercedes AMG, but there's nowhere to go here.
It's on the brakes where it's so impressive, isn't it? Just look at how much grip he's got underneath it. He's able to close up. And the thing we mentioned before the start of this race, that Subaru very kind on its tyres as well. So if they've got grip under braking, they've got the pace over the Mercedes, but for in a straight line, and they've got good tyre life. They're in the pound seats.
Yeah, definitely. And this is where the difference, though, is going to be made. This is where Kylian's going to be thinking, oh, come on. Give me a break. So, you know, he's going to have to really think about where he can attack here, because even if he does manage to get by, he's then going to try and defend it all the way down the straight. And even in the tow, he is now just barely gaining at the end of the straight, but he's nowhere near close enough for a move. Not yet, anyway. Maybe a last lap lunge he'll have a go. I say that. He's had a look. He's just, you know what he's doing? He's just letting the car in front know that he's there. He's trying to get in their mirrors, trying to intimidate him a little bit, try and force him into a mistake, because sometimes that's your only solution.
Yeah, Kazuki there not flapping under pressure with that Mercedes at the moment, but certainly, as you say, that Subaru looking really quick and going in towards that left-hander, tighter line really there nice for exit. Kazuki. Yeah, and a great exit for the Subaru, pulling alongside or looking to try to, but as they come in towards the chicane, don't think he's going to be close enough there. Kazuki knows that, drives a little bit tighter on the entry of the corner just to hold his line and hold his nerve for now.
Just alternate lines there, you see, just trying to force the Mercedes onto a tighter line to give him a worst exit out of his right-hander. It did work, he is closer, but that initial grunt of of the corner for the Mercedes AMG is just too much for the Subaru to cope with at this point. So great pictures there from the onboard camera, and I think it's just a matter of time. He's experimenting, he's trying to find a way by, he's trying to find which corners he's strongest at, and I reckon maybe a lunge into the tunnel might be his best bet, a lunge here. But meanwhile, we go back up to BMW, sorry, and Chevrolet, and Chevy's got the hammer down. They're going quick at the moment.
Certainly are, but I wonder if they're just using their tyres a little bit too much, because we don't quite know what that Chevy's going to be like on its tyre life. Don't forget, of course, a minimum of 14 laps they must run on each tyre compound here in this race. They've got 5.3 seconds over Mercedes. They can afford to have a little bit of a squabble, but they don't want to be fighting too much, because, of course, if they start doing that, it will drop them in towards the clutches of that sort of medium shod battle in the middle of the top 10 at the moment. But as you said, Chevy looking like the quicker of the two. I'd love to see an onboard shot and see what the throttle positioning is like for Chevy at the moment. Adriano Carrazza behind the wheel, and I wonder whether he's just taking it a little bit easy.
I don't think so, mate. It's Carrazza. He has 2 throttle positions. It's 0, 100. That's all he's got. So we're on board now with the Corvette. Fantastic V8 noise. Never get enough of that as we come into the last part of this circuit now. And you get the impression that he is driving the car a little bit harder than the guys in front. And what I mean by that is he's choosing now to push and to use the tyre whilst it's still working. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, this. You might have a little bit of speed now, but when it comes to, lap 13, lap 14, when you're about to get rid of the tyre, he might end up with nothing left. He might just fall off the cliff, as the term you might have heard a couple of times. So we'll see him be a sitting duck to those around him and just fall off BMW. So it's a game of strategy, it's a game of patience, and that's sort of the thing that I really like about endurance racing. It's a big story, and we get to watch it unfold.
Porsche there right onto the back of Volkswagen. This is a great nose-to-tail scrap between 3 manufacturers, Mercedes, Volkswagen and Porsche. Just inside the sort of lower half of also the middle of the top 5, top 10 I should say rather. So down in towards that first corner we go, riding it over the crest of the hill. And you can see they've closed right up onto the back of Subaru there as well. So I wonder,
when did Subaru get past?
Quite sure.
So yeah, Subaru passed. Sorry, we've missed that on our camera. So Subaru's got past Mercedes AMG somewhere, which is massive for this race, because these guys are very quick. Look at the gap already towards Mercedes AMG. And you see the Mercedes guys there not looking too happy at the moment. That's Luca Benelli and Baptiste both wild there as well, looking very frustrated.
Well, this is what you were saying as well. You're trying to force that Mercedes into a mistake, and that clearly is what has happened there. So Drummond has either just been able to put the pressure on enough to find an opportunity, or maybe he's just been a bit sick of being stuck behind him and thought, actually, do you know what, sod it, I'm going to go for it, and sent it.
Yeah, we'll try and find a replay for you guys, and we'll get that to you as soon as we have it. But meanwhile, the front Corvette there, I keep saying Corvette, the Chevrolet going for a big dive on the BMW. And isn't it great to see Chevrolet actually mixing it up in the Manufacturers' Cup here? We've never actually seen them be that impressive, frankly. And right now, Carrazza really showing what that platform can do. And you have to think that BMW at the moment are maybe thinking, do we let them go? Do we want to fight them this hard? It's one of those moments where it can really define your race one stint. And you see now, the Chevrolet driver is just getting out of the toe a bit, showing his nose, making people know that he's aware that he's there.
If you're Eric Cassey at the moment, you do wonder what the best strategy is. You can see him there on board. We ride as we come down the start-finish straight. This is a very close opportunity here for Adriano Carrazza, who pulls out of the slipstream as they go side by side down the start-finish straight, and Carrazza goes through. Chevrolet into the race lead, so nice move there from Chevy. Hit the front for the first time in this race. Now the question is, how quickly can they pull out that gap? This is the move between Subaru and Mercedes-Benz. So it's down the inside into the chicane. There was an opportunity there that presented itself. A late old send for Subaru, and they moved their way up through into third place. So nicely done.
That's what it had to be. It had to be a big send, and we were delivered. Killian, mate, I now owe you a beer after. That was awesome. I love watching that. So meanwhile, we'll come back to that in a minute, but we have Porsche and Volkswagen. You can see the sort of tyres have kind of sorted themselves out now, as people on the tyres have moved up and the higher tyres have moved down a little bit. I'm really curious now, because of course we have this battle going on, but we just had Chevrolet take the lead. What is Carrazza going to do behind the wheel of that Chevrolet? Is he going to just sort of chill out a bit? Is he going to set the pace himself? Because if I were him now, you've got Porsche, you've got the pace, keep the tyre alive. Keep it alive as long as possible, and make sure you hand off the car in the lead.
It doesn't go particularly well with the Carrazza strategy. As you said, he's only got 2 throttle positions.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't, but we joke about that, but every driver here is one of the best drivers in the world in Gran Turismo. They know how to work things.
Good news there for Nissan. They've just been able to get themselves ahead of Mazda, so up into
Yes,
P7,
boys.
right from the back of the grid there for Nissan. So making their way through on that medium compound of tyres. So they are now sort of last of the medium shop runners. They're 5.4 seconds off the back of that gaggle that we saw between Merc, Volkswagen and Porsche a little bit earlier on, but still, nonetheless, good for them at least to be in a bit of clear air.
That is warming up, mate. That is warming up. They have only shown us 5% of their power so far. You wait. It's happening.
Yeah. Anyway, back to this. So lap 7 to the start of lap 8 out of 48 we are then. 1.6 seconds the gap now sits between Chevrolet and BMW at the sharp end of these race. So let's see this move between Nissan and Mazda then. So out of the slipstream they go. Nice bit of power, and the slipstream there proved to be very effective. It's going to be a nice move on the brakes here for Nissan through into 7th place. Clean as you like, textbook into that corner.
Best move of the race, easily. Easy best move of the race. Yeah, I mean, yeah, as you say, textbook. So let's see if they can move up a bit more. So meanwhile, nice little battle here, 4th and 6th. We have Mercedes who have sort of fallen off the back of Subaru. I think it's fair to say 2 seconds, and that Subaru is rapid. It really is. I don't think it's lapping too much slower than the guys on that soft compounded tyre. In fact, if I look at the, I think the last lap time, the Subaru was actually quicker than the BMW. And then the BMW, and only half a second slower than Chevrolet. So BMW, watch out.
Yeah, Carrasco's got the hammer down, no doubt about it. I mean, he is in the 149 flats, whereas the BMW last time around, that was a 150.7. Whether they made a mistake or not, we don't quite know, but still, that is a sizable difference in terms of pace. And speaking of differences in pace, look at this between the two different tyre shots of the Toyota and the Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi putting out the slipstream, a half look there. Again, not close enough to mount a particular challenge at the moment, but Mitsubishi, that's being driven by Shimizu, and looking forward to seeing what the Japanese driver is going to be able to do as he sits right on the back of Nikita Moisov, who hasn't particularly made that much of an impression on this race so far, but of course he is on that hard tyre, so I wonder if they're playing that longer game here, which is, again, the opportunity. The hard tyre, though it looked terrible in the early stages in terms of where they sit in the race, it can play benefit later on because, of course, they've got quicker tyres than those around them who've still got to run those slower compounds.
Yeah, it might seem like a basic thing to explain, but basically, if you're new to Gran Turismo and you're tuning in for the first time, soft tyre, fastest, wears quickest. Medium tyre is in between the soft tyre and the hard tyre, and the hard tyre wears the slowest, but is the slowest. So it's basically, what do you want? Do you want durability? Do you want your tyre to be consistent for a long period of time? Or do you want speed at the cost of maybe tyre life? The guys in 1st and 2nd, BMW and Chevrolet, they've all chosen to go on to that soft compound of tyre. And you can see that on the graphic on the right there, that Carrasco in that Chevrolet is using the right side a little bit more than that BMW is.
It's an anti-clockwise circuit, this, so you'd expect the right side of the car to wear a little bit more because, of course, you're putting more lateral load on the outside of the car. But, yeah, as you say, he is definitely going for it at the moment. He was, what, 5 tenths of a second nearly quicker than BMW last time around. So he's certainly not hanging about, is he? 2.1 seconds the gap sits between Chevy and between BMW. So we know the BM's heavy on its tyres. We're, what, lap 9 now, so 14 laps we're expecting these soft tyres to be run for, because to be honest, that's probably all they've got in the tank.
I don't know, I think it depends. If you can keep that soft tyre alive, which a lot of teams seeming, well, I say a lot of teams, we've only got Chevrolet and BMW now, so they're going to be sort of the guinea pigs for everybody else. If they can keep that soft tyre alive for longer, it's only going to help them complete this race distance quicker, which is the aim of the game, pretty much. So right now, BMW is doing better at that than Chevrolet, but it has also lost 2 seconds on pace. So it's a really fine balancing act here. It's very difficult, and it's the reason why I'm not here, because I have nowhere near the ability to keep up with these guys anyway. And I'll get back to that in a second. Enough self-pity as Volkswagen and Porsche duke it out for 5th and 6th place. Volkswagen there, I think, losing out to Porsche. Porsche up to P5 there. A great move by Angelina Stroza to get up into P5, and now he's going to go after Mercedes-AMG, our pole sitter.
So Roberto Sternberg down into 6th place. They want to try and keep themselves within touching distance of that Porsche, keeping the slipstream, and that'll be very important there for the Volkswagen team. But Stroza driving to try and recover something then from this race after a bit of a challenging start in it there so far. They've kind of been in a bit of no man's land really at this particular point. They've had relatively okay pace, but nothing particularly brilliant if you compare that to the likes of Subaru, who are also on the medium tyres, but they're, what, 3.5, 4 seconds up the road in comparison. So that Subaru is an absolute scorcher at the moment. If you compare that to the likes of Merc and Porsche, they've got good pace, but relative to that Subaru, it's not quite as good.
Yeah, Subaru, the one to watch in this race. I mean, we've got a long way left yet. Only 10 laps into this 48-lap race, so hope you're comfy. Hope you've got snacks. Hope you've got a nice couple of drinks around you. And let us know on Twitter. Let us know what you think of the race so far. Hashtag GT7. Who you got your money on at the moment? It's looking like Subaru looking quite impressive on this stint so far. But it's Team Chevrolet that lead from Team BMW, Subaru third, Mercedes AMG fifth, and this team, Team Porsche, in fifth.
So, lap 10 out of 48 we sit on then. We're coming towards the sort of end of the first stint now. Again, 14 laps are the minimum sort of tyre life that the drivers will be able to run on, and I wonder what the strategies are going to be like, how they're going to diverge, because if you can coax the life out of the softer compound of tyres, you want to stay on them for as long as you possibly can. Of course, we have now got graphics that we can bring you on screen, new for 2022 really here nice. In the GT World Series, and yeah, it's really great to be able to bring that to you, because of course it gives you at home an insight into how hard these drivers are pushing, what the tyre life is like for different particular cars, different driving styles, etc. And it's really, really good because it gives us that extra bit of insight.
Yeah, can we have some more of that, Mr. Graphic Man? I'd like to see some more for these other teams as well who haven't chosen to go onto that soft compound tyre. In Astroza, I think really showing he's got the speed here. But bear in mind that, of course, the guys in front of us right now, Mercedes AMG, did start on pole. And Porsche sort of come through on this medium compound tyre, and it's now almost, I think, quicker. Oh, look at that! Oh, that is very nice. Thank you, Graphic Man. Look at how hard the hard tyre just is not wearing. 97% on that Mazda. But it's looking like, yeah, right now, the person in trouble is BMW on that front tyre there. 69%, very nice, I'd say. Also for Chevy 2, just dropped down to that as well, so equally nice.
Yeah, it's also not the first time that we've seen that as well. In terms of, it's actually front and rear, so front's on the left-hand side of the picture, right, rear's on the right-hand side. So it's actually the front that's a little bit in better condition, but of course we know that Karatz has been pushing on that bit more, hasn't he? He's been putting more pace in that car, just trying to extend that gap out to BM, so you'd expect that to be the case. It's kind of not too dissimilar.
I think importantly it shows that that tyre is going to last to lap 14. What condition it's going to be in once they get there, that remains to be seen. But we tend to see a drop-off, and what I mean by that is once the tyre gets to a certain percentage, you start to slide a bit more, and that actually accelerates that tyre wear. So you get to a cliff, and it just kind of falls off with pace as well. So we're just going to wait and see how that pans out. But right now, Team Porsche and Angela Strohs are getting ever closer to Mercedes AMG in front. Under brakes there, that Porsche is mighty right onto the rear wing of the Mercedes. Now we go down the back straight once more. We have, so the front straight, sorry, we have noticed that the Porsche maybe not the quickest down the straight, so not the easiest place to attack.
I was wondering about tyres as well, because of course this Porsche is mid-engine rear drive, that Merc is front-engine rear drive. Do you think that will have an implication in terms of the tyre life, because of course it's not so front-heavy?
Yeah, I mean, you tend to see in that situation the front-engine car would use its front tyres a little bit more, and of course it's prone to a bit more understeer anyway. Kind of the opposite of the mid-engine. The engine's right in the middle, the car rotates really nicely, so a bit more balance usually. And here is our little graphic, and yeah, the Mercedes has used a little bit more of its front tyre, and the Porsche a bit more of its rear tyre. So there isn't much in it though, is there? I mean, it's not as sort of night and day as I thought it would be.
There's a lot of testing that goes on behind the scenes here for these events to make sure that the balance of performance is exactly as close as it should be, and that's what allows us to bring us these close races. There's a huge team at Polyphony. I say huge team, it's relative to some things, but it's a team at Polyphony that are able to sort of do all this extensive testing and work at the balance of performance. They take feedback and they look at it and they're like, okay, we're going to tweak this, we're going to tweak that, and then when we come to things like these World Series Showdown events, it's just able to bring it so close together.
Do you want to know who the fastest person on track right now is?
Enlighten.
It is Kylian Drummond in the Subaru on the medium compound tyre. He has found some speed. His last lap actually was nearly a second quicker than both the cars in front of him. So this is what we said. We said the Subaru would be good on its tyres, and it is so good in fact that on a tyre that should be slower, it's now starting to reel in those cars in front. So what's this car going to be like on softs? what's it going to be like on the hard tyre? It's going to be absolutely fantastic as our Angelina Stroza there gets a little bit too close to the Mercedes-AMG in front, so I'm sure our stewards will keep an eye on it. I don't think there was any contact there, but, you know, there might be a precursor to make a bit more scary. But, yeah, really cool seeing these strategies develop. It's definitely a different sort of racing, endurance racing. It's a slow burner. You have to sort of be with the story. But I love this stuff. I find it so fascinating. I hope you guys do at home as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been fortunate to cause some endurance racing this year, and as you say, though the race is definitely at a slower pace, it can really get quite exciting once those strategies begin to diverge. As we know, of course, the soft tyres are wearing quicker. There is an update, and those rear tyres, I think, starting to fall more towards that cliff now. 63%, I don't think it'll be too much to be of a concern, but as you say, compared to Subaru, which the difference last time around was a second between Chevy and Subaru.
Look at the tyres on the Subaru. Look at the tyres. Like, compared to other medium runners, they've got massive chunks over everybody else. That car is dangerous if you are its opposition. And as you say, Tom, yeah, a second quicker than the BMW last lap. That is unreal. It's visibly closer now. It's getting closer towards us a bit on board. I would love to see in a couple of laps' time. I reckon it's possible. I reckon this Subaru might actually get the BMW before the end of its stint. You can see there's killing a bit of a smile on his face there. Question, do you think he's going to stay in the car?
No, he's not, because there's Danny Solis is going to go in the car, because I've got the driver's strategy here.
OK, then. well, great question answer. There you go.
Well, Subaru are down to 2 drivers, of course, for this one. Takumi Miyazono sadly testing positive with COVID-19. So basically what that means is one of the drivers has to double stint. They've chosen Killian to be the driver who does that double stint. And basically what that means is they can either come into the pits, change the tyres, and then continue on in the car, get that continuity, or they can change over to the other driver as they would have done normally and then get back in the car for the final stint. That is the strategy that Subaru are going for, and I think pretty much everybody else who's got 2 drivers. So, for example, well, we should have had Mazda, but in fact we do have Mazda because, of course, Giorgio Mangano is driving for them, but they're doing exactly the same strategy in their respective race.
Another second quicker that lap, Subaru. It's looking scary now for BMW and for Chevrolet. They will all be aware that Subaru is closing. All these guys have team radio, so there's 2 guys, of course, not driving, well, for the majority of the teams anyway, and they're all on the radio chatting away, letting them know the gaps. And if you're team BMW, you're probably saying, stop telling me, I can see it's getting closer.
Last time we looked at the gaps, it was about 5 seconds. It's now under 3 seconds. That just goes to show how much of a gap they're pulling out, just to put it into a bit of relevance there for you. And you can see their Subaru really close now onto the back as they come down the back straight. So yeah, those tyres, I wonder whether it's the soft tyres are falling off the cliff or just the medium tyres are coming into their sweet spot now as they come through the second bridge. I don't think Drummond is going to be close enough to launch a move up the inside, but certainly getting closer. The thing is, of course, with endurance racing, you've got to bide your time. You don't want to strike too soon, put both of you in strife, and then it costs you more than you'd have gained.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. Also, though, you kind of want to send it sometimes, you know, like, especially if you see you're reeling the guy in front at that rate. If it's a second a lap, you've got to get by. You've got to get by quickly because you're going to get held up. Look how close now Kylian Drummond is to the back of Team BMW. I think Drummond might be having a lunge here if he's close enough. The problem is, of course, that Subaru doesn't quite have straight speed. BMW opting to pit, had enough of that soft compound tyre, getting off it as soon as they can. So BMW pitting, also Chevrolet pitting as well, from what I can see on our screens at the moment. Subaru staying out and they take the lead.
Yeah, Chevy coming in, Merc coming into the pit lane then as well. So everybody coming in. So medium tyres for Chevy, medium tyres for BMW, hard tyres for Mercedes. Nissan also in the box as well for the hard compound of tyres. So lots of strategies now beginning to play out for the first time. What's that, 5-6 cars that we've got coming into the box where a BMW going to emerge, and what is this going to mean for them? Because, of course, they'll know that those medium tyres, though they won't be quick over the course of the one lap, if they can just eke them out, they'll have good pace. So the medium tyres looking like the ones to be on in terms of the ultimate pace. But this is what it means in front, because you saw Chevy into the pits there and they just emerged ahead of Mazda. Crucial for them because they've now got a bit of clear air. That's the one thing you want coming out of the pit lane. You don't want to be stuck behind another driver on another strategy, because even if it only costs you a few corners, that could be the difference between coming out ahead of another driver when you make your second pit stop.
Yeah, definitely a possibility here, and it's not just Mazda, it's Mazda and Toyota. So 2 cars in between now, these guys who were close on the circuit before. So interesting to see now what these guys can get up to now. It's Iwata who's got into the Chevrolet, and J.O. Dowd has got into the BMW. So new mind, fresh set of legs, as they'd say in football as well. Fresh brain, I think, is a more appropriate thing for sim racing. And let's see what happens here. I'm interested to see, though, how far Subaru, these guys, are going to go on that medium compound tyre.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, in terms of the drivers that did stay out last time and both on the medium tyres, Porsche versus Subaru, they have not made their stops yet. Last time around, what's that, 6-7 tenths of a second quicker than Porsche was Subaru last time. So, again, just going really good. Kylian Drumont, he's in that groove, isn't he? You know, when you get into that sort of sweet spot where you're not even thinking about driving, it's just instinctive, and he's just not worrying about anything. He's got no immediate pressure from behind, and he's in that rhythm, in that zone.
Look at that difference in tyre wear between Subaru and Porsche. There's nearly 10% between those rear tyres. Subaru's so light. So I'm going to keep an eye on lap time, though. I'm noticing the hard compound runners are starting to get a bit closer. So Subaru, they did a 50.2 across the start-finish line. Porsche will come across the line next. They do a 50.8, so 6 tenths between those two. 6 tenths faster and using the tyres less. That's the dream if you're a driver.
Volkswagen into the pits. This, of course, is going to be important for that battle that we saw on the fringes of the top 5, which, of course, had Mercedes and Porsche involved in that. Though now they're diverging onto their different strategies. We'll see how that all plays out a little bit later on in the race. Where are Volkswagen going to emerge? Well, it's behind Mercedes, so not too bad. A little bit of traffic in front of them, but of course both on the hard compound of tyres, so it'll be interesting to see what the pace differential is like between those two. But again, it's just sort of spreading out after this first stint. But we've had now, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers making their pit stop so far in this race.
I'm really interested to see what lap times we see now from Chevrolet and BMW, because Subaru, of course, out there on some tyres that are now 20% worn, according to our nice little graphic there. Thank you, graphic man, you're very kind. And we're now going to see if Chevrolet has that pace to bring that back in. Yeah, Kylian Drumont has driven a fantastic stint so far. I've not seen Danny Solis move just yet. He'll be in the car next. And again, here is a bit of a comparison between first and second. Look at that. That is night and day. I mean, that's ridiculous, that is. So the Subaru, 10% better on both rear tyres, better on every tyre. It's used a little bit more fuel, though. I have noticed that. It's a bit heavier on fuel. So will there be a refuel on this 66?
It shouldn't be too much of a concern.
Maybe a dash?
Maybe a bit of a splash test. We'll see how that works out. I want to correct myself earlier on. It's actually 6 drivers who've made their pit stop so far in this race. So half the field have pitted, half the field have not. Just to make you aware, if this is your first time tuning in to the Manufacturers' Cup for the GT World Series, first of all, welcome along. It is great to have you here. But also, just to remind you as well, make you aware, the drivers do have pit-to-driver communication. So basically, if you're Danny Solis, you can communicate with Kylian Drumont, your teammate, who's in the car at the moment, and talk about strategy and try and work out when is best to pit. The thing is, he'll be there thinking, he's doing all right. He's got great tyre wear, great tyre life, great pace underneath him. This is putting Subaru in the pound seats in this race. So no immediate cause for concern, despite being a driver down.
Yeah, I reckon we'll see them pit soon, though. I mean, I think they want to use a soft tyre for a bit longer than the guys who were out there previously. Maybe longer than the 14 laps that was originally sort of suggested for that soft compounder tyre. But bear in mind, there is a minimum tyre usage requirement. So every compound's got to get used, and you have to use it for at least 14 laps. So you don't want to go too long on one set of tyres, otherwise you won't meet the requirement. And if you don't meet the requirement for that, if you do 1 lap too short, you will get a 1 minute penalty added to your time after the race, which I haven't got to tell you, is pretty disastrous.
Yeah, it's not what you want, that is for sure. So, on board here with Team Toyota, this is Nikita Moisov who's behind the wheel. He started this race, of course, haven't made their pit stop as of yet. Stuck behind Mazda, who again also have not made their pit stop, but just up the road is Chevy on the medium compound of tyre. I expected Chevy to be pulling a bit more of a gap out, actually, on that medium tyre. They have made a pit stop there on fresh mediums. The gap, a second or so, as the leaders now into the pits for the first time. So Drumont getting off of the mediums onto the hards for the middle stint. Crucially, Danny Solis getting behind the wheel too.
I want to just congratulate Kylian Drumont. What was a fantastic stint there. So fantastic, in fact, that his lap before he was in that was still quicker than the Chevrolet on the same tyres that were, 17 laps newer. That's ridiculous pace. So really good stint for him. Now it's up to Danny Solis.
Difference in strategies here between Porsche and Subaru as well. Medium to hards there for Subaru, medium to softs here for Porsche. I know that they were separated by quite a lot, but I'm interested to see what that's going to mean for Porsche if they emerge in a bit of clear air. What about Subaru then? So Corvette then going through, Subaru emerging in third place, and Team Toyota really close on the back of them as well. Nikita Moisov sniffs an opportunity here as they come down into the left-hander. Of course, cold tyres for Danny Solis. Toyota going through up the inside into third place.
I'm confused. The Subaru must have taken fuel. They shouldn't be out behind Chevrolet. They should be well in front after that stop. They were fastest on track. They were putting better laps than everyone else around them. They should be in the lead, but I guess maybe they took a bit of fuel. Maybe now's the time to do it on that hard compounded tyre, because as I said, it was a bit marginal towards the end of the race whether they'd actually make that work or not. So maybe a bit of a splash going in there, but or a slow pit entry, but I don't think it's going to make so much of a difference. Although it might, you know, a second in racing can be the difference between winning and losing.
Well, speaking of winning and losing, there's a battle going on here in the lower half of the top 10 between Porsche and Mercedes. Porsche on the soft competitive tyre, Mercedes on the hards, but Mercedes definitely looking the quicker of the two cars at the moment. Trying to pull out of the slipstream there, but not quite able to mount a challenge as they come down in towards the left-hander. This is really close racing between these two drivers. Porsche have got Conor Healey behind the wheel at the moment. Mercedes, of course, who have also made their first pit stop in this race. Baptiste Beauvoir, the Frenchman who, of course, secured them pole position behind the wheel and having a sneaky look up the inside as we just crossed away from that. Here comes Genesis sending it as well on BMW through the left-hander. That was a decisive move from the new boys in the Manufacturers' Cup as they make their way through into 6th place, and Porsche just able to keep ahead of Mercedes as well further back, but Porsche there weaving it off into the wall. There's contact there. Not quite sure what happened, whether Porsche had a bit of a crash with Mercedes, but either way, it does mean that Porsche have hit the wall. We need to see a replay of exactly what went on there, whether he just moved and weaved a little bit too much or whether there was a bit of contact, but either way, it's dropped Porsche and Conor Healey right towards the back of the field.
That in it, Chief? That's going to be interesting there.
What's going on?
Hello?
What's going on with Conor Healey here? Is he having a bit of a tete-a-tete?
Bit of a meltdown there. I'm just looking over to see what's going on. I think there's a hardware issue. I think there's a hardware issue for Conor Healey.
Yeah, something's not gone well at all there. So apologies, I said there's a bit of contact, but whether that is a technical failure there for Conor Healey and for Porsche, that is an absolute disaster for their race, and it could mean possibly an early end to this race, but certainly it means they're going to have lost any meaningful result from this one, and that is such a shame for Conor Healey, a great shame for teammates in Estrosza and Jose Serrano as well, because they were not looking too bad in this one actually, and clearly that hardware issue has put pay to, unfortunately, what could have been an otherwise promising result. They were looking good for a top 5.
Yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on what's going on over there. It does look like this might end up as a mechanical DNF for Conor Healey, which is a real shame because, you know, just like in real-life racing, we do have technical issues here as well, and unfortunately, Conor seems to be on the end of them. Anyway, we'll get back to that when we know more. Meanwhile, great battle here developing between Jaguar and Genesis as Team BMW on that medium tyre going backwards, it seems. Not able to turn that medium tyre on at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame there, unfortunately, for BMW. It's Jay O'Dowd who is behind the wheel of that car at the moment, and whether he just doesn't have the pace or whether the car doesn't have the pace, either way, it is resulting in that BM dropping right towards the back. Here then is Team Toyota, who've had something of a quiet run here so far, but it is Igor Fraga who will be in the car next after Nikita Moisov. They're on lap 20. They haven't made their pit stop. Likewise, Team Mazda up the sharper end of the field. You can see that hard tyre, of course, still got 90% left of rubber. It's not the quickest tyre by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly in terms of its duration, it is proving to be relatively good, and it'll be interesting to see what Subaru are able to do as well, because of course they're on hard tyres, but they are on fresher hard tyres, and I wonder whether it might be a bit of a tortoise and a hare situation here with Subaru, just on that hard compound tyre, the slower compound, but maybe they'll have just enough pace underneath them.
Yeah, there's a big gap on tyre wear between Subaru and everyone else, it seems, at the moment, and yeah, I'm wondering that's something that'll be looked at some point, but Subaru's still looking strong, as you say. Here's Team Mazda and Team Toyota are on board with Team Toyota now, sort of trying to chase down the Mazda in front. That hard compound tyre going well, still running well. These guys haven't stopped yet, of course. They're on lap 20. I think this is about the limit for their tyre. They're going to have to come in soon, otherwise they are going to risk running over the minimum lap allowance of the tyre. So lap 20 are when we're going to see the rest of the hard tyre runners pit in now. So we should see him, Moisov there, just veer to the left out of his corner.
Yeah, let's see whether that does prove to be the case. Indeed, it does. Absolutely spot on there, Mr. Broadbent. So into the pit lane then comes Mazda. Likewise, Toyota as well. Same on fuel. What strategy they're going to go for? Tyres. They are going to diverge on their strategy. So medium tyres there for Mazda. Soft tyres there for Toyota as well. Jaguar also going on to the medium compound. What about Genesis? They go on to the mediums there as well. So everybody will have now made one pit stop then in this race. And the upshot is that it is Chevrolet who are 7.1 seconds now in the lead from this one, but who is going to emerge where once these pit stops have all played out?
Yeah, bear in mind, of course, that Chevrolet still owe the hard compound of tyre at the end of the race, and Subaru still have the fastest tyre to come. So all to play for. We're coming up nearly now to the midway point of this, our first 90-minute endurance race here in the Gran Turismo World Series. Great to be doing an endurance format here. I'm a massive endurance fan, so it's a pleasure to commentate on this. If you just joined us, welcome. Great to see you. Still plenty of racing left right now. Your race order is Chevrolet in P1, Subaru P2, Mercedes-AMG are pole sitter in P3, BMW and Volkswagen round out the top 5. We're on board now with Toyota and Igor Fraga, one of the bigger names, I think it's fair to say, in the Gran Turismo racing world. Ex-F3 driver as well, so he knows his way around a quick car. Let's see what he can do to pull that gap down to Mazda. He's got a superior tyre, soft compounder tyre, so it should only be a matter of time, but you know, we'll see how he does.
There's only one thing that you've got to say about Igor Fraga. If he's got a set of soft compounder tyres, beware.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Igor Fraga, soft tyres and a car that is pretty blooming quick, let's be honest, with that Toyota Supra. That is going to be a deadly combination, and I'm really, I'll tell you what, just stick an onboard camera for him for the rest of the race, because that'll be a heck of a bit of progress.
He knows it well. You know, Fraga's been with Toyota for quite a while now, so he's very familiar with the platform, very familiar with the Supra. Great shot here from the onboard of the Mazda rotary there, whining away down the straight. Great noise. I always like to point it out because I miss hearing it in the real world so much. But it doesn't matter how nice your engine sounds if you've got Igor Fraga behind you on soft tyres. So I suspect we'll see that Toyota pull up to the back of us very shortly. Gap is 1.4 seconds. We'll take a look as the race progresses, and also cool to see how close they get to the barrier there. But you notice in qualifying that extra inch or two might have been eradicated for speed. It's a bit more chilled out in the endurance race. Also the tyre deformation is really cool to see. I like that.
Yeah, I really love the attention to detail here in GT7. Don't forget, of course, you can vote for your Michelin driver of the day on social media throughout the course of this race as well. Get yourself onto Twitter, and if there's a particular driver that you think has driven exceptionally well, we would love to be able to hear from you. Get your votes in. They'll be announced on social media after the race has reached its conclusion. So we are now coming up to the halfway stage in this race. We're looking at the battle for 7th place between Mazda and Toyota, two legendary Japanese marques, two previous manufacturers champions here in the GT World Series as well. And as they come onto the back straight, you wonder whether Igor Fraga is going to have enough pace underneath him to try and mount a challenge as they come on this long back straight through the two tunnels and down in towards the hairpin bend. You can see him closing in the slipstream, difference in tyre compounds, so a difference in pace, and certainly will be a difference under grip for braking as well, as Fraga goes towards the inside, makes the move as Toyota goes through ahead of Mazda for P7. Nice move there from Igor Fraga. Next target, Nissan.
Yeah, easy peasy. And of course, Fraga, you might remember, if you're a hardcore GT fan, that Fraga used to drive for Nissan back in the day, so he knows that car as well back to front. Would definitely be an advantage for him. I also remember him running out of fuel at the Nürburgring, but he might not want to remember that one himself. As we now come round the left hand, coming into the last part of the circuit now. If you're new to this version of Trial Mountain, a penalty there for Nissan in front, a cut track penalty. That will make Igor's job a little bit easier. Oh, big lunge in front of a Volkswagen, made a mistake, come back onto the course. Contact there with Igor Fraga. I'm not quite sure what happened. VW just looped it on the way into the corner. Might have caught the curb on the inside a bit and spun the car around, lifted it, but Fraga nowhere to go there. Ditto with Nissan in front, but if anything, that's actually helped Fraga's charge. He's taken 2 places in a corner and a straight, so got to take the rough with the smooth, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's the supermarket deal there for Igor Fraga. You buy one, you get one free. So he moves up into 5th place then. And Porsche, they're of course slowed because they've had that technical problem. So they're now a lap down here in this race. But Nissan not giving any quarter as they try to mount a retaliation. Here come Mazda as well as they run really close to one another. Mazda trying for the outside line into the mountain section of this circuit, but certainly looking a little bit quicker. I wonder whether the cage has been a bit rattled with that penalty here for Volson there as well, and you can see Mazda trying to mount this attack and Volkswagen trying to come and follow them through as well, covering the inside line. Go Nissan then here. Mazda know that they go for the outside line, and now it is a drag down the straight as Nissan pulls towards the inside, trying to use that straight line speed. We're going to go 3 wide down this straight, I'm pretty much sure, because Mazda have got great straight line speed, but it doesn't look like that Volkswagen has got the legs as they come in towards the left-hander. So Nissan there go for the inside line. They're just able to hold firm, or are they? Because Mazda trying to go around the outside, and they do! What a move from Mazda, brilliant! And Volkswagen trying to follow them past as well as they come through into the final sector of the lap. This is a great scrap for 6th place here.
Yeah, for 6th place, exactly. I mean, these guys are getting rowdy, and of course VW, they're looking to make up for lost time after looping the car on the last lap. So we're on board now with the mighty Beetle, and you're going to see that slowdown penalty being applied to Nissan in front. They'll come around this right-hander, had that 0.5 seconds of being off the throttle, and right now there is a investigation underway. You know what, I think we might see a penalty for Volkswagen for an unsafe rejoin. We will wait and see, but there, nice easy move for Volkswagen as Nissan served their penalty. Mazda, Volkswagen, Nissan, 6th, 7th and 8th.
Halfway stage then of this race we are, so there are the stewards on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and this, of course, is where all the decisions are going to be made. So they'll be looking back, reviewing the footage, keeping an eye out, seeing what happened, discussing with one another, and then making a decision. So that is under investigation. They may go for no further action. They may offer a penalty.
Fastest car on track right now is Igor Fraga for Team Toyota, 1:49.5 on the last lap around. Compared to the leader, that's about a second and a half quicker. So Igor Fraga on the move then in the Toyota, as we suspected he would be. Right, we're going to get a replay of what happened with this VW. I'm curious to see this. Oh, he just got onto the grass on the inside, tried imitating the Sophie AI line there, I think, and just tagged the line and just spun it around. And the thing is, the rejoin there, the rule is stay where you are. He accelerated into the racing line. Would you give that a penalty?
Personally, yes, because the thing is, it's unsafe, isn't it? You've got to be so careful with rejoining, and if you're going to compromise somebody else's race, then you've got to err on the side of caution in situations like that. And I can completely understand it, because I've been in the situation myself. Don't get me wrong, I do a bit of racing, and if you spin, it's very frustrating. And I'll be honest with you, Jimmy, I spin a lot because I'm not a particularly brilliant driver. But we'll cross back to that in a minute, because here comes Mazda trying to send it down the inside of BMW, and they do. So the Japanese drivers go through into 5th place. Nice move there. But as I was saying, yes, just coming back to that earlier point, if you spin, you've got to be safe when you rejoin. Clear cut.
Yeah, don't do things to make it look bad or something like that, isn't it?
Yes, a wise man once said, I heard.
So yeah, no further action. So stewards deem that as fine. Pretty much, that's where we go there.
And that's why I'm not a race steward.
I think so. And unfortunately, I do think we have now lost Porsche from this race. So our first DNF, commiserations to the Porsche guys, valiantly fought up until then. But still 11 cars left in this race, with a lot of it still to go. Team Mazda looking fairly strong right now. It's fair to say that BMW dropped off quite a bit on that medium compound. The car not agreeing, it seems, with that medium compounded tyre. So it still has a hard compounded tyre to go, but not looking great for Team BMW.
Yeah, the car has been heavy on its tyre where it's not had much. Oh, Mazda clipping the wall there.
There you go,
the inside, weren't they? And that's the thing. In an endurance race, fatigue does start to set in. And it makes you wonder, is Shitaru just trying to overdrive that car a little bit at the moment? Because he's looking a bit raggedy.
Yeah, a little bit. I think, you know, he's at this point, he's aware that he's sort of on the mid-stint. He needs to make it count. It needs to be a quick stint. Otherwise, the last one for this Mazda will be using the soft tyre at the end. Still has that to owe. You're basically trying to set up for the anchor at the end. You know, you're trying to, for that last. It's like a relay race. Pretty much what it is. So I think maybe he's got that in the back of his mind and starting to throw the car around a little bit. We know that Mazda's fairly lively as it is. So that might not be helpful to him. So let's just try and... So where are we in the race right now? Let's just take a step back, see where we are in this race. So right now, Team Chevrolet are leading from Team Subaru by 8 seconds. Right now, the lap times are identical down to 7,000th of a second, which is insane. So Subaru, though, on that harder compounder tyre, so just showing you the pace of that car. Behind them, Mercedes AMG, bit of a gap we go by there. Mercedes AMG, though, faster than the two cars in front. Then we go down to Team Toyota, who we have almost set the fastest lap of the race there. 10th of the fastest lap of the race, a 48.5 from Igor Fraga. 48.2 there. Igor Fraga has just now set the fastest lap of the race, which was nearly 2 seconds faster. No, sorry, 3 seconds faster than the leader. He is on a charge right now.
I said it, beware. Igor Fraga on soft tyres in a Toyota Supra is the one combination that you should fear if you're a driver out there, and he's really closing up onto the back, and this could be great for Toyota and their podium challenge. Just coming back to, as you were saying there, Jimmy, Chevrolet, of course, on the medium compound tyres, they still owe the hard tyres. They still owe the slowest compound, where, of course, Subaru are getting that out of the way in the middle stint, but still keeping pace. So you wonder, when it all plays out with these pit stops in the latter stages, whether that's going to put Subaru in the pound seats, because they've got the softs to run. Yeah, basically, see it as, you know, if we're going to go back to the relay analogy, that Chevrolet have had their fastest guys go there first, and the slowest guys going to go last, whereas Subaru has opted for their fast guy last, as has Mercedes AMG. So, one to watch. Really looking forward to seeing those race unfold. This is where endurance racing gets fun, as we come back now to a battle between VW. Oh, bit of a move there. I'm interested to see if the stewards watch that back, but Nissan there, not phased whatsoever, all the way around the outside there, squeezed to the barrier by VW. I think that was a good move. It was a hard move, but a fair one. And Nissan now all over the back of Team VW, who is, we have to say, are going backwards somewhat. Well, Mehdi Afidi behind the wheel of the Nissan, who we ride on board with him at the moment. And, of course, Mehdi was the driver who scored World Series points for that manufacturer in World Series 1. They managed to get 1 point on the board coming into this one. Look out at the closing speed there on the brakes as they come in towards the chicane. So certainly that Nissan's looking a little bit faster than the Volkswagen. A bit of a slide out the final corner won't help their challenge at the moment. Mehdi Hafidi there just getting a little bit hot under the collar, but certainly that Volkswagen does not have the pace in the middle stage. Laboutelet's trying all he can as they come side by side down the start finish straight, banging wheels as Nissan goes through into 6th place. They just about managed to get ahead. They run it a bit deep in the second phase of the corner, and I wonder whether that might put Volkswagen on the back foot, and it does, because they have to sort of get out of the throttle and almost ran onto the grass there between the two.
Yes, super aggressive move there, but a move that needed to be made, I think. Now, we did mention points as well. We've had World Series points already handed out in the first round from first to third. Here in the World Series Showdown events, points go down to 6th place, and it's 6-1 from 1st to 6th. That makes sense in my head. So basically, that move there from Nissan on Volkswagen was for a point. There is something at play there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm keen to see what is going to happen here, because, of course, those drivers will know that. Look at the gap between Mercedes and Subaru there. You can see the gap between them has been really quick, but also even quicker for Toyota. And look at how close Igor Fraga is onto the back of the Mercedes AMG. He's going to send it down the inside. Decisive move there from Igor Fraga as he goes through into 3rd place. Nice one there from Igor, showing us exactly why we love seeing him here in the GT World Series.
That's a move that a racing driver makes. He goes, I'm having that. And took it, and off he goes. That's it. No, not even going to bother looking back now. But you know, that's Baptiste Beauvoir there in that AMG. He is a very fast driver, and there is a tire disadvantage there, of course. So it's not going to be as challenging as it would be if they were both on that soft compounder tyre. But mad how easy that looked. And now Igor Fraga goes in pursuit of Subaru. Now he's going to have to come in on lap 34. He's going to have to pit there, because the 14 lap minimum on that last compounder tyre, that's when he has to come in. So Igor has 6 laps left on this compounder tyre to do as much work as possible. And right now he's putting in a monster stint, really showing just why he had the skill to become the 2018 Nations Cup champion.
I'll tell you what it's like watching Igor Fraga. It's like watching a woodworker. because they always make it look so easy, and Igor just makes it look so effortless when he's driving. And look at how, I know there's a tyre difference, of course, between Subaru and Toyota, but look at how much he's able to close, and the exit he gets out of that corner as he goes through into second place for Toyota is just phenomenal. So great stuff from Fraga. Toyota now into second. Finally, a bit of clear air for them as well. Doesn't have to weave his way through the traffic. He can just start about setting his own pace and focusing on his own race here.
Yeah, the Toyota pace has fallen off a little bit of Dani Solis. It's still okay compared to other medium runners, but it isn't the speed we were seeing from Dumont on his first stint. So again, I think we'll be seeing Dani Solis getting out of the car pretty much as soon as possible.
Subaru, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, Subaru. What did I say?
Said Toyota.
Oopsie. I meant Subaru. Wrong word came out. But yeah, so I think we'll see again. Oh, well, Chevrolet coming into the pits. 20 laps left. What tyre are they going to go on to? It's just the medium tyre left, right? So that's all they've got.
Yes,
sorry, hard tyre.
They've got the hard tyre left to run, so they're into the pits, then onto the hard tyre. Fuel shouldn't be too much of a concern. Where are they going to emerge, though, after this pit stop? Because if they're in traffic, that's going to cost them a little bit of time in this stage of the race. Let's see what happens as they come out of, or come into the pits. So they're going to be behind, of course, the drivers who have already made their first stop. You'd expect that to be the case, but if they emerge in traffic, again, that second and a half could cost them a bit of time. BMW also into the pits then here as well. Out on the hard tyre we go here for them, and a penalty being picked up for Toyota, I can see on the screen. I wonder whether that might be for track limits. We've seen Igor just threading the eye of a needle, and maybe he's just done it one too many times. We haven't seen anything under investigation, so track limits is the only thing that I can think of. It's not too much of a concern, but certainly, again, those half seconds, they can all add up.
They definitely can, and a long stop for BMW. A very long stop for BMW. What's going on there? They're having to refuel. There's a 1 second penalty there for Toyota, so that's a big cut track. I'm just seeing, has something gone on there with BMW? Have we missed something? That's a very long stop. Here we go. Here's a replay.
Let's see. So this is Toyota, isn't it? This is going to be what happened then. So I reckon this is going to be track limits, isn't it? Ah, yeah.
Oh, you naughty boy.
You can't go over the curb like that. It's the black stuff you need to stay on, unfortunately.
Yeah, bad boy, mate. So BMW's still in the pits. We'll see if we can get a bead on that at some point, but for now we'll have to wait and see. So there will be a penalty served for Igor Fraga, and it will pretty much wipe out that lap for him. That'll be served on the main straight, where he'll have to get off the throttle and get on the brake, as to say, for a second down the straight, and that hurts a lot when you're in car. So that is going to put a bit of a dampener on this charge, and this could be the difference. This penalty here could be the difference between them having that gap at the end and then having to fight someone or be in traffic when they come out the pits next time.
Well, yeah, absolutely. This is where the penalty is going to be served. It's not just the second you lose in terms of the penalty, it's the time you lose before and after, because, of course, your car's not going to be up to the same speed, and Igor Fraga will know that as well. You can see Subaru versus Mercedes in the background as well, as they are sitting in the slipstream are Mercedes at the moment, and it does drop the gap down to 1.3 seconds. Here comes Subaru versus Mercedes then. Side by side, they go into the first corner. Merck and Beauvoir just backing out for the time being, but Subaru there really have to keep a keen eye on the mirrors. It's Dani Solis. He hasn't had the pace in the middle stint of this race, and you can see they're running a little bit wide through that corner, and Beauvoir's just keeping that pressure onto him, and he's just trying to force the hand here of Dani Solis into just running a little bit wide into a corner. He can sneak his way through up the inside.
Daniel's doing all right. All he's got to do is keep this car on the black stuff, make it as wide as possible, and just make sure that there's not a chance for while they're behind to get by. Great views here back from Subaru. See Solis goes defensive straight away, hugs that inside line. He's going to make Beauvoir work for this, go around the long way around, but then pulls back to the racing line. Curious. I don't understand that. You either defend it or you don't. Maybe he wanted just to try and mess him up a little bit. Maybe he had Kylian Dumont get on the radio and say, mate, don't bother.
He's trying to go the long way around the outside. I reckon he was trying to do the under and over into there, wasn't he? But I don't know if it's going to pay off. Let's see as he comes onto the corner race. It pulls alongside momentarily. But Beauvoir was able to just hold track position there in second place. The problem is the Achilles heel of the Subaru is and always has been straight line speed.
I think what happened there, mate, is Kylian got on the radio and went, don't bother, I'll catch him.
It's a fair point because Kylian has a good pace.
Yeah, and he'll have the soft tyre at the end as well. So it's going to be a good final stint, that's for sure. And we're on lap 30 now, coming round to lap 31. Here is Chevrolet and Volkswagen still duking out. The sixth place has been the place to be for this race. It's been hectic for there, and Volkswagen going up the inside, getting that place back there, I think, from Chevrolet.
This is exactly what Chevy don't need, though, because they've made their final pit stop. They don't need to be squabbling with another team that are out of sync with them, running into the corners there a little bit deep, and it's just going to be costing them that bit more time. It's dropping them into the clutches of Jaguar, who, that's probably the first time I've actually mentioned them in this race. They've been a bit quiet thus far, but they are here. They are circulating in 8th place, but Chevy, they don't need to be doing this battle at the moment because it's going to cost them time right at the end. If they're involved in the battle for the win with Subaru or Toyota or whoever it turns out to be, once the strategies have all worked out, this could cost them quite dear.
Yeah, Genesis has been fairly anonymous as well, but bear in mind, a lot of these guys still have that soft tyre there and ready. So we're going to see, I think, it's all going to come together as all the strategies converge in each other for that glorious last stint. It's what you always work towards as an endurance driver. Even in the longer races, 24-hour races, your goal is to get the car in one piece to the last stint, and then you fight.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, it's not over until the checkered flag. Asked Toyota at Le Mans a few years ago. So, yeah, let's see what is going to happen then. Lap 31 out of 48 we are on here for the Manufacturers' Cup showdown here for the GT World Series. We ride on board with Jaguar at the moment, who are in 8th place. It's Alonso Regalado, I should say, who is behind the wheel of that machine as they come in towards the braking zone. Certainly looking pretty menacing, but just keeping his power to drive for now is the Peruvian driver. We've seen Alonso in World Series events up until this point, but it's been a long time coming since we've been here. Of course, this is our first live event in 2.5 years. It is so great to be back as Subaru come into the pits at the end of lap 31 onto the soft tyres.
Now, here is the car to watch. We have Kylian Drumont, who showed us some fantastic pace earlier on in this race. Now onto that soft compounder tyre, and he is going to fly. Will there be fuel going in that car? I don't think so, but he's got a lot of cars to get through there. Not many people have pitted for that second stop yet, so you see it's plummeting down the order there. I think it is just a long stop here. I wonder what happened to BMW before, but it's just a long pit lane here at Trial Mountain. On goes that soft compounder tyre. Any fuel going in? No way. Back out the pit lane, and now we're going to see Kylian Drumont absolutely drive the wheels off this Subaru.
What he needs, though, is, of course, the drivers in front to pit within the next sort of 3 or 4 laps or so, because he's going to close up onto the back of them. He's on a quicker compounder tyre. In front of him is the Genesis and the Jaguar, both on the medium, so they're going to be slower. He doesn't need to be fighting in traffic. What you want, of course, as I mentioned earlier on in the pit stop, you want a nice bit of clear air. He's got a little bit, but the thing is, on that soft tyre, the pace differential is going to be so great that it will only last a lap or two.
Yeah, but mate, you know how it is. This Subaru will get in the toe. It's not fast and straight line, but that toe's going to help it. And if it's even anywhere near attacking distance, bam, down the brakes, torpedo up the inside, that'll be that done. So we'll keep an eye on this as we go on. Subaru already reeling in Genesis in front of the gap under 2 seconds, just like that, click of the fingers. So now Toyota are leading at the moment on that soft compounder tyre. Igor Fraga still at the wheel of that car. They're 4 seconds clear. They're going to have to pit in 2 laps time, or that'll be the latest that they can pit is in 2 laps time. I'm sure Igor's going to go all that way as possible in that tyre. You can see here lap time differential, of course, that is between the soft and hard tyre. Daniel Solis versus Igor Fraga. I'm interested to see this graphic in a couple of laps time though and see what that difference is.
Yep, so Fraga then out of the final corner, across the timing line, 4 seconds the gap sits between himself and Baptiste Beauvoir in 2nd place as they come across the line then to reel off another lap. And you can see their the lap 29, in fact, it was actually Beauvoir who was the quicker of the drivers by half a second or so, but I think that was when that penalty was served for Fraga, of course, for not obeying track limits. But this is getting really exciting towards the end of this one. Don't forget, of course, you can vote for your Michelin driver of the day on social media. If there's a driver that in particular has stood out for you over the course of this one, get onto social media, vote for your driver of the day on our social channels, and we will be announcing that on social media after the broadcast has concluded.
Yes, we will be doing that, and I'm just checking who's going to be in the car next. For Toyota, it's going to be Ryota Kokubun, who is extremely fast. I mean, I look at that team, I don't see a weak link there. Moisov, Kokubun, Fraga, all very, very quick drivers. For Mercedes-AMG, it's going to be Lucas Bonelli, again, another very quick driver. In fact, the driver that pipped Igor Fraga in Nations Cup last time around as well. So we know how quick he is. So everyone putting their best foot forward for this last stint. They all knew how it was going to turn out. Look at that tyre wear, that rear right tyre for Toyota. Starting to look a little bit second-hand. He'll be feeling that in the long corners, under traction. You see the car there, big understeer coming out the corner. He's at the limit of that tyres. I'm just looking over to Toyota now. Is anyone moving? I don't see Kokubun moving at the moment.
They've only done 8 laps on the soft tyre thus far. So, according to the graphic that was on the bottom of the screen.
That's definitely wrong, mate, sorry. That's definitely wrong, because remember, it's a 14-lap minimum, and we are now coming up to lap 34, so we'd have to change tyre.
Right, so let's see then what is going to happen here with Igor Fraga and with Team Toyota when this is all going to play out. The gap down to 3.9 seconds. We've got a driver change going on here for Team Nissan as they are into the pits then, on from the hards to the soft tyres as they come to their final stint in this race. Okamoto going behind the wheel for their last big push, and of course they have got the quickest compound of tyre to end this one here too.
So I find myself turning into a sort of a JDM version of Father Jack. Like, I love my turbo brick. Like, it needs to do well. Come on, I believe. So soft compound tyre going on that Nissan. It's not been the best race for Team Nissan. They're the poor qualifying position, and it has hurt them throughout the part of this race. Coming up behind Mitsubishi. Keep an eye on them though. We'll see what they do. Subaru up past Jaguar. I've just noticed a position change. The Subaru now up into P6 and already onto the back of Chevrolet. Bear in mind, these are the guys they were fighting with at the start of the race. This is kind of coming back now to an overall, once everything's said and done in terms of pit stops, a fight already round the outside there. So much more grip on that soft compounded tyre. Can he go around the outside? No, he's forced out wide there. Chevrolet closing the gap, and now it's going to be a fight down the straight. Look at this Corvette in the straight line. No chance for Subaru, but I bet all my money that we're going to see an absolute lunge here coming down into the left-hander. Kylian Drumont now closing into the back of the Corvette, the American manufacturer. Can't really do much about it. There goes Drumont up the inside, late on the brakes. Move is made before the apex, up into 5th place, and now we're going to see him charge after Volkswagen.
Well, it's a blooming good thing that nobody took you up on the back.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad, mate.
Toyota and Mercedes into the pits. Medium tyres for Toyota, soft for Mercedes then. Not too bad on fuel, not really much of a concern at the moment. So Fraga out of the car. Into the car is Ryota Kokubun then. Into the pits also comes Volkswagen as well. So this is where the race is beginning to change its complexion, and this is where we're going to see the strategies beginning to play out, and it's going to be a sprint to the finish. This is almost like a separate third race, and now it's going to be soft tyres versus the slower compounds, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens between these drivers and these manufacturers. There are 13 laps now remaining, and it's time to see how this race is going to play out. Toyota emerging in the race lead, but of course they're on the medium tyres, Subaru on the softs, only 1.6 seconds down the road.
Gran Turismo fans, how cool is this? We have our first ever 90-minute endurance race here in the GT World Series at one of the oldest circuits in Gran Turismo history. I'm an old school GT fan. I love all those games. I play them to death. So to see this track now reimagined in GT7 and hosting a historic event in Gran Turismo history fills me with those nostalgia, goosebumpily nice things, you know, all the nice things inside. But we'll come back to that because we have a battle for the lead now between Toyota and Subaru. Kylian Drumont has already pulled onto the back of Toyota using the speed of that Subaru through the corners. He does have a tyre advantage too, but I don't think he's got enough, even in the slipstream that Toyota's pulling away down the straight there.
Yeah, really quick is that Supra, but I wonder what the difference in corner grip is going to be like, especially into this technical last sector of the lap here. So on board we ride here with Kylian Drumont, who did brilliant things behind the wheel of that Subaru in his first stint. He has got the quickest compound of tyre, he has got the grip underneath him, he is right now on the back of Kokubun as he tries to look down the inside into the left-hander. This is for the race lead in the Manufacturers' Cup, and Subaru go through on lap 35. It's Subaru and Kylian Drumont who lead now from Team Toyota. Brilliant move.
I think needed to make that move because look in the background, Mercedes AMG, Lucas Bonelli very, very fast in that Mercedes AMG at the moment. So he needs to get by Toyota to not be held up. Now it's going to be how quick can Bonelli get by Kokubun in that Toyota, because he is the only person right now who can challenge Kylian Drumont for this win. There's Daniel Solis watching on, probably just trying to keep his heart rate down a little bit at this point, there to offer any advice over the radio to Kylian Drumont if he requests it. And now we go back to Toyota. Kokubun, there's a bit of damage limitation for him now, really, on that medium compound tyre. I think that this could be an easy third for Toyota, but he's definitely going to fight for that second.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to be the case earlier on in this race. They've had good pace of Toyota, brilliant middle stint from Igor Fraga, but once it's all worked out with the difference in tyre compounds and, of course, the difference in pace as a result of that, it's kind of put them a little bit on the back foot there, really. Nothing they could do. They were out of place at the start of this one after not qualifying so well. And now it is Mercedes who sit right on the back. Lucas Binelli behind the wheel, the Brazilian driver. We know he's not afraid of making a move. He's got the advantage of the slipstream, and that AMG is very handy in a straight line as well as we come through the tunnel, shifting up into 6th gear in the slipstream as he's going to pull towards the inside and send it through into second. It's Mercedes versus Toyota. Or does he? No, he thinks about it, but he's just trying to wait for the mistake to come from Kokubun there on the exit of the corner. They run side by side. Kokubun's got the inside line for Toyota. Mercedes just having to wait there for Lucas Binelli, but you guarantee that in the final sector of this lap is where we're going to see the move being made. It's exactly what it was for the race lead last time around. It's Mercedes up the inside of Toyota, and they go through into second place.
He needed to get on with that sooner. He should have made the lunge, I think. He's lost about a second there on Subaru, just being careful, which it's admirable, but in terms of actual speed, he's lost time. So let's see what the lap times look like now. So on that last, interestingly, on that last lap, we had Subaru do a purple first sector and Mercedes do a purple middle sector, I think due to that slipstream there. And the fastest lap of the race there from Subaru, 1:47.7, 4 tenths faster than the previous fastest lap. And AMG doing a 48.1 whilst overtaking the Toyota. So this is far from over.
This is really exciting. This is exactly what we love to see in the GT World Series. If it is your first time joining us, then I'm sure you're going to be in for a grandstand finish. It is Subaru versus Mercedes for what we can see at the moment for the victory of this race, and Subaru pulling away 2.3 seconds. But the question is, has Lucas Binelli, now he's got that clear air in front of him, got enough pace underneath him to try and reel in that Subaru with 11 laps left to go?
The thing is, we know that Subaru is light on his tyres, so Binelli's got to push now. He has no choice. He's not going to outlast the Subaru on tyres, so there's no point even trying that. You have one option, which is to hunt him down, make him work, get by him, and then just defend for your life. That's all you've got if you're Binelli right now. So, yeah, maximum attack for the Brazilian, 100%.
I'm interested to see what Chevrolet are going to be able to do here on this harder compound of tyre. We know it's a lot more workable as well. They're sitting in 4th place at the moment. What are they, 9 seconds adrift? But I'll be keen to see what it's going to be for them, because they've got, of course, Mazda, Nissan, Volkswagen, not too far adrift, and they're all on the soft compound of tyres. So though it looked like a pretty good race so far for Chevrolet, I wonder if it may come undone for them towards the end of this one.
Yeah, I think so too. I think just the middle stint pace wasn't there, and that's what I'm saying. It's always hard to understand how a race is going to unfold by watching the first stint, because everyone's doing something different. And we've seen now the people in the midfield who have played that strategy a bit better has worked out. They're saying that AMG, of course, were our leaders. Let's have a look. I'm just looking at the lap times now. 47.9, 47.8 from Mercedes AMG. Binelli was faster that time around. Now, bear in mind, although Subaru is light on its tyres, it has been on those soft tyres for a bit longer. It's had a few more laps on those tyres, so it's going to be a bit of time, a bit of a crossover there. So Binelli can really afford to push.
So then on board we ride here with Mazda, now getting closer to the rear wing of the Chevrolet. It is Lopez who is behind the wheel of the Chevrolet as we ride on board here with Giorgio Mangano, who is trying to tame that Mazda RX Vision Gran Turismo Group 3 machine. And you can see there as well, not too far adrift, our Nissan with the GTR closing our Mazda here as we come through in towards the long back straight. And this is, of course, where we know that the Chevrolet is really good in a straight line, but I don't know if it's going to be a match for the rotary-powered Mazda, especially with the slipstream that, of course, the Chevrolet does not have. And keep an eye out for Nissan, who are not too far adrift. Chevrolet know that. They go defensive. It's side-by-side down this back straight for 4th place, and Mazda going through on the outside. They're already ahead before the braking zone. Nothing that Lopez or Chevrolet can do. They try to hold it round the outside. There's a smattering of contact between them, and it is still Mazda that come out on top.
Yeah, where's Nissan though now? Because these guys are fighting, which just means they're going to be drawn into the clutches of Nissan behind, and GTR menacing in the mirrors of the Chevrolet Corvette in front now, right onto the back of Chevrolet. There's got to be a move here into the left-hander. Yeah, easy up the inside. Nissan now up into P5. Can they hunt down Mazda though? This could be a P4 for Nissan from the back of the grid.
Yeah, it'll be a brilliant recovery given where they started in this race. They've just quietly kept their sort of powder dry in this one, where others have faltered. We've had some messy races for some other manufacturers, and it's really beginning to pay dividends now. The gap between the top two coming down 1.5 seconds between Subaru and Mercedes.
Yeah, that was 3 tenths quicker. That Benelli knows what he has to do. The thing is, if he can get in the toe of this Subaru down the straight line speed is so massive that he'll just drive up to the back of that car. So this is where Drummond has to push in that Subaru for his middle sector, through the corners, really make the best of the advantage of that Subaru and try and put away from the AMG behind. But look how hard Lucas Benelli is trying. That gaze there, he is locked in. Maximum concentration as we come through this left-hand out. Exit out of here is extremely important. Pretty decent there. Now watch the relative. This is going to give you an idea of the speed differential. 1.86 it was before we came out onto the exit. It's down a tenth. It's down to 2 tenths. It might be down to 3 tenths here. So if he can get closer to the point here, into the left-hander, he might be able to have a lunge.
So then into that left-hander we go then, on board we ride. Nice smooth throttle inputs there from Lucas Benelli. I tell you what, he is a hard charger, and we know that he is not afraid of getting his elbows out. If he sniffs an opportunity, you can be guaranteed he is blooming well going to send it down the inside.
Yeah, of course. Definitely, and we've seen how quick he can be. Can take it to Igor Fraga on his good days. And you see there on the lap comparison, we were nearly half a second faster, I think. I'm not sure that graph is actually correct, but we'll check this last lap. Has he gained? So let's have a look. Subaru now coming round to the right-hander. We're following, and let's have a look at the lap time of the Subaru. They're going to come across the start-finish line very shortly. The last lap was a 47.8. This lap, as it updates, a 47.9, and from Team Mercedes, another 2 tenths. So he is gaining very slowly, but as I said, Tom, the thing that's important is he's now getting into that slipstream range, and as soon as that happens, whoop.
Yeah, it's about a second or so is the slipstream range, and it was 1.3 across the timing line last time around. Of course, that ebbs and flows through the corners, but it's
wide. Was that wide there?
Just a little bit, wasn't it, I think?
I think Drummond is now starting to feel that pressure. Was Solis on the radio sort of trying to keep him updated with gaps, but he'll know. All the drivers have the gaps information in front of them. They can see what's going on there, and there is, I want to say he looks a lot younger without a beard, does Danny Solis, doesn't he?
So do you.
Yeah, I didn't recognise him when he walked in. And actually the gap there, coming on to the back straight, a bit wider than it was before, but look at that, how menacing is that AMG in the mirrors? Lights ablaze there, just reminding you that if you make a mistake, he will be there to take advantage.
Yeah, so down the back straight we go, and we see Kylian Drummond, the face of concentration from the Frenchman. There's a look at the tyre life as well. That Mercedes actually being kinder on the soft tyres in this phase, only by a couple of % or so on the fronts.
Actually, because of course the Subaru pitted a bit earlier,
beg your pardon,
that percentage has actually come down. So the Mercedes is being more aggressive on the tyres at this point, but the crossover is close. Again, Benelli's just got to push. There is no other option. He has to get there, and he knows that now. I think he's already used the best bit of the tyre, the shine of the tyres come off it now, so he's now starting to get into it. But look, in this braking zone, 1.5 seconds. I'd say actually, in the very slow speed stuff, that AMG is pretty mighty.
Well, this is going to be interesting. Across the timing line, let's take a look at the difference in the lap times. That's where we're looking at, and as they come across, and the timing screen does update, a 48.3 for Subaru, a 48 flat, or 48.1 there and thereabouts pretty much for Merc. So again, a couple of tenths in it, now down to 1.1 seconds. We're getting into that slipstream range. Hold on to your hats, because this is not over for the win in the Manufacturers' Cup.
So the real question really is, can Lucas Benelli get there before his tyres fall away? And that's what he's doing now. I love seeing these guys at work, because it's just a 100% concentration. It's a millimetrical precision, and something that I'm definitely not capable of at home on my sim. And it's just so impressive. I think sometimes we forget how fast these guys are in the context of each other. But I can tell you for free now, if you're watching on the stream here, you try taking these guys on, you would have no chance. Closer on the straight once again. We're getting into that slipstream range now, actually 1.4 seconds, 1.3 seconds. It's going to start feeling a little bit of a pull now on the front of that AMG as we now come down to the downhill left-hander. We know the Subaru is strong here, but the gap at the end of the straight nearly a second flat. So Benelli, the thing is, if you're Benelli, if you're in that AMG right now, you're seeing that gap come down. You're starting to feel it. You're starting to feel like this might be on, and that only helps you go quicker. And I've not seen Benelli blink for the last half a lap, so you know he's on it at the moment.
So, on board we ride down into the left-hander. So it's sort of ebbing and flowing, the face of concentration, the faces of anticipation from the Mercedes AMG team down there at the moment. It is Lucas Benelli who is the man on the move. And as they come through in towards that final chicane, we're coming in towards the closing stages then of this race. He has a little bit of a mistake there, he had to take a couple of bites at the cherry as he's just getting a little bit scrappy here. 1.3 seconds, so it's gone up by a couple of tenths. It's beginning to ebb and flow. I wonder whether he's just taken a bit too much out of his tyres and they're beginning to come towards the sort of less useful range compared to that Scooby.
No, he's still caning. Still, there's a tenth quicker that lap. Not as much, but as you say, I think they might start be falling off at this point. But again, this is the point where Kylian Drummond. This is his part of the circuit. This is Subaru territory. These sort of mid-speed corners where you can really change the direction of the car nicely. This is where the AMG starts to understeer a little bit. Front engine isn't quite as kind on its tyres through there. What the gap we're looking for onto this left-hander here is less than 1.4 seconds, and we know his game. We come out now, it's 1.5, so not quite as quick there, but we'll gain some time again as we get down to about 1.3, 1.2 seconds. The slipstream's going to start coming into account, and I'm wondering, has Lucas hit a wall? Has he got to the point now where the tyres are starting to go the other way? I bet if we looked at the graphic now, we'd see they'd be on similar tyre wear, because that AMG is absolutely eating its tyres at the moment.
I wonder whether he's just, like you say, coming towards the end of that useful shelf life, but also, I wonder whether he might just be waiting, maybe keeping his powder dry on the other sense of it.
No,
it's down to tyres.
He's got to push now. He knows that as well. There's no point waiting now. It's 6 laps left. You've got to push. So the last stint is always the sprint stint, as we call it. So Kylian knows this. There he is looking pretty cool, to be honest. He doesn't seem very bothered by the fact that he has a set of headlights in his mirrors getting ever closer. And look at that tyre wear again now. So AMG almost with the same tyre wear as the Subaru, despite running a few laps less on that soft compound of tyres. So again, we'll keep an eye on the gaps to come across the start-finish line. 48.4 for Team Subaru and a 48.6 Subaru, 48.5 from Mercedes. So the cars are slowing down, but the Mercedes still chipping away here and there.
Only half a tenth did it though last time around, so apples and oranges there really, not much difference between the two. I suppose there probably is a bit of difference between apples and oranges. That's a discussion for another day though. As we ride on board then through this left-hander, out of the tunnel we go, and you can see there really nice smooth input of the steering wheel here for Kylian Drummond. I have to say, whatever happens here, this has been a brilliant effort from Subaru. A driver down after Takuma Miyazono was not able to travel due to a positive COVID test, now sitting in the lead of this race are this manufacturer at the moment. The gap now beginning to increase as well. 1.6 seconds, 1.7 seconds. It's as big as it's been over the last 5 laps or so here.
Tyres are gone, mate. That's it. I think that's a chance gone now, maybe. I mean, it may be just cooling them down a little bit, maybe having to obviously have a bit of a slower lap. But this is the thing. You say like half a temp doesn't make a difference. It can do if it means getting into that draft a bit quicker down the straight. It is. The margins are this fine at this level. And you have to really give it to both of these guys. The pressure they are under right now. There are thousands of you watching this race on the line. We have people here in person as well. There are cameras in their face. They can hear us shouting over the top of their driving. So these guys are doing such an impressive job, and regardless of result, definitely a big round of applause warranted for both these guys when we get to the end of the race. But not just yet. Let them concentrate for now. And there you go, tyre wear.
No, still plenty of time. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen, Chevrolet, of course, have now lost out on that hard combat of time. Mazda, Nissan, Volkswagen have all managed to get their way through on the soft compound. So that is a relatively big shame for them because they, again, had good sort of pace in the first stint of this race, but the middle stint, sadly, has come back to bite them rather in the backside. And you can see there as well, for the battle for the podium, I was going to say it's not quite over, but again, if those soft tyres are coming towards the end of their shelf life, 2.5 seconds between Toyota and Mazda, I think that gap might begin to stabilise now.
I'm looking at it, mate. It's still half a second a lap, 6 tenths there, so it's coming down. Like all the gaps here.
But so is the lap counter.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Like I said, it might be a last lap thing. So it's not over till it's over, my guy. We know that. And, well, right now, I'd say that if you're Lucas Spinelli, you're probably quite frustrated because he's driven really well here. But, you can't... This Mercedes, it likes its front tyres. It gets hungry for front tyres. And at this point, I think now, unless Killian makes a mistake, which we have seen plenty of at the end of races, so, it's definitely over, he might have this one sewn up. Again, Daniel Solis looking very nervous down there, just keeping an eye on him.
You can see a shake. Sorry, you can see a shake of the head there from Benelli. I mean, there's nothing more dejecting than seeing a car take off into the distance when you've been putting 110% in.
No, but that's just the name of the game. These guys chose Mercedes AMG. They knew what the car was good and bad at, and it is good over a single lap. It's very, very fast over a single lap. And you see now Benelli having to fight that tyre wear, doing his best to make sure the car doesn't get away from him, because a slide there means contact with the wall. It means game is definitely over. If he's within, a second and a half, 1.8 seconds, and there's a mistake in front, he's there to pounce. And we saw Igor Fraga getting a penalty earlier for just being a little bit too early on turning. That's all it takes for this to get put on his head.
Well, Killian will know that, and he will be, I imagine, just trying to keep a watching eye on that. The thing is, those mistakes are so millimetrically different between them. It could be the difference between a couple of centimetres almost on track of getting a penalty or not. But Killian doing a fantastic job of just soaking that pressure up like a sponge. 3 laps now remain here in this final, and it is Subaru with Mercedes now getting on for 2 seconds behind. The gap between Toyota and Mazda is beginning to come down. It's down to 1.9 seconds, so under the 2 second mark for the first time in a long time. Here are Mazda then, and it is Giorgio Mangano who is behind the wheel of that car. They are another team who are down a driver in this one as well, owing to a positive COVID result for one of their other teammates. Mangano stepping up to the plate. He was only supposed to be competing in the Nations Cup here tomorrow, but I'll tell you what, he's doing a brilliant job and could be on for a very strong result with a team that he wasn't even supposed to be driving for.
I think he is, mate, because another 6 tenths that lap, and we have three and a bit laps to go. So on that pace, he will be there in a position to have a go at the Toyota. Now, we know that Toyota is an absolute bullet in a straight line, so he's going to have to find a way to do it and find a way to get by, probably not in the toe, because that's not going to work out so well.
I was just listening to the Italian commentators. They are going absolutely potty over the opportunity of Giorgio Mangano with the possibility of getting a podium. I can hear Andrea, one of our commentators. He's right over the other side of the venue, and he's clear as day, like he's standing next to me.
Yeah, that's the Italian effect, mate. They're loud. they love it. So, yeah, only a few laps left here in this race. It's been over 75 minutes of racing to this point. People are tired, people are fatigued, cars are fatigued, tyres are fatigued, but still we push on. Only 3 laps remaining when we cross the line this time. And we're on board with Giorgio Mangano. The gap now to Toyota in front, down to under 1.5 seconds. So he's taking chunks out of Toyota there and just really playing with the car, letting it slide loose. And you can see as well, starting to get a little bit darker here at Trial Mountain as well, as the sun starts to set on this race. And it looks like Giorgio Mangano is in with a shot here for a podium for Mazda.
Needs to get himself into that slipstream range. It's about a second or so. Don't forget, of course, this is all important for the points that they will take home from this World Series event. Points down to 6th place, 9 of the maximum on offer, all the way down to 1 point into 6th place. So it will be a very beneficial result for Mazda if they can carry that through into the second half of the World Series Championship, and then, of course, into the World Finals in Monaco in November as well. So there's not only positions and pride to be gained here, there's points as well, which could be very important for that championship challenge.
Yeah, points and prizes. I'll tell you who I didn't think would be getting points today. It was Nissan, who are now up in P5. But we will come back to my Nissan bias later on, because Mazda are now right on the back of Team Toyota. In fact, Mangano there just flashing the lights to say, hello, mate. Remember me? I'm back. And I reckon he's got a chance at this, Tom. He's only 9 tenths behind now. We have a couple of laps left. He's closing at pretty much every corner. Ryota Kokubun is a fantastic driver, but you can't overcome the tyre difference on medium to soft. All Kokubun can hope now is that the soft tyres just fall off
that Mazda behind and keeps him there for now. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, Cockerman doing a really, really good job. You can see him there taking a couple of bites of the cherry as he slicks it into that left-hander. Medium compound of tyre, not proving to be as fast as we've seen for the likes of Subaru when they were on that compound. And of course, the soft compound there for Mazda proving to be very nice indeed. So coming through to the penultimate lap here at Trial Mountain. The gap now down to 0.8 of a second. Giorgio Mangano as the headlights flash as the dusk begins here at Trial Mountain. The sun beginning to set on what has been a phenomenal grand final in the Manufacturers' Cup, and it is going down to the wire for the final podium positions between the two Japanese manufacturers, Toyota versus Mazda, Cockerman versus Mangano.
You can see there Cockerman's really having to push. He's putting the car out into the grass just to try and find that bit more speed, but I just think that Giorgio Mangano has him covered for now. So coming through his middle sector, Mangano needs to work hard here to get as close as possible to that Toyota, use that draft. And we said before, Toyota's really quick in a straight line, but Mazda can use that toe and stay with him. Look into the left hand here, how much more confidence and speed Mangano takes. Almost touches, he does touch the wall there on the right. Just slows him down a little bit, but he is deep within slipstream range. Only 6 tenths between him and Cockerman in front. Not quite close enough to make a move for now, but Cockerman's going to be very well aware, and he still has a lap and a half left. Can Toyota and Cockerman hold on to the podium?
I wonder if that mistake hitting the wall just on the outside of that corner just cost him a little bit of time, maybe a couple of tenths of a second or so, but it just stopped him being within striking distance there on that Toyota. Into the final sector, we've seen moves being made into the penultimate series of corners, but again, it's not quite close enough at the moment. Needs to go again. It's going to come down to the final lap for this podium battle here, and Giorgio Mangano, as the headlights now begin to illuminate this circuit, has got everything to do. He's got all the pressure on his shoulders and he knows it. I'm keen to see if he's going to be able to mount this challenge. He's wide. There is Cockerman. That's going to allow an opportunity here for Mangano as they come through this final chicane. He's slipping, he's sliding, he's all over the track like a dog on a polished floor as they come across the timing line here to start the last lap of the Manufacturers' Cup showdown.
Well, a crescendo this is. 90 minutes of racing, and it all comes down to this for Toyota and Mazda. Subaru managed to pull a gap of 3 seconds to Mercedes-Benz, so that seems somewhat sewn up for now, but Mazda still every corner putting onto the back of Toyota. Cockerman can't do much about it though. He's trying his best to keep that car on the straight and narrow wide there, sliding out into the marbles. Mazda and Mangano looking very, very menacing right now, but there aren't many places to overtake in this middle sector. Mangano's has got to try and get it set up onto that back straight.
This is going to be really important here for Giorgio Mangano. He needs to get a strong exit coming through there. He's right on the rear wing now of the Toyota of Ryota Cockerman, then through into the left-hander. This is where he needs to get the drive with that Mazda RX Vision Gran Turismo Group 3 machine. He's right in the slipstream range now. It's Toyota versus Mazda for the final podium positions here in the Manufacturers' Cup, and the Toyota's got good straight line speed. Mangano, though, you know if half an opportunity exists, he's going to go for it as they come down into the hairpin bend. Cockerman goes defensive. Mangano trying, but not close enough to strike into that hairpin bend. It's going to come down to the final sector, and I wonder if Cockerman might just have enough space in his pocket to try and hold on to this podium position for Toyota against all of the odds. This is a brilliant end to the race here as we come into the final series of corners. Subaru are a few seconds up the road. They're ready to come across the timing line, and here they are. Subaru win the grand final in the Manufacturers' Cup showdown here in Salzburg. Mercedes-AMG come home in second place, and Team Toyota are going to hold on ahead of Mazda for the final podium positions. It's Toyota and Cockerman who claim third place ahead of Mangano and Mazda in P4. What an end to this race. What drama, what tension to the checkered flag. What a drive from everybody, all of our competitors here. What a phenomenal finish, and delight for Subaru as well. They are on the top step once again here in the GT World Series.
Yeah, amazing effort. You can see just what that means there to Danny Solis and Kylian Drumont there taking the win. AMG there, Baptiste Beauvoir just commiserating there, Lucas Spinelli just saying, yeah, I know you gave everything, mate. Good job, good effort there, buddy. And yeah, what a race there. And of course, Mazda holding on. See Danny Solis there, I think, just trying to take it all in at the moment. emotions maybe getting the better of him just for a second or so. But yeah, well done to Ryoko as well, holding on there for Team Toyota. I thought he was done for, but awesome race. I don't you love to see that there. Second place and first place congratulating each other. What an awesome sight that is.
Brilliant. I mean, it's hard to overstate really how impressive that is from Subaru. Let's not forget they were a driver down coming into this one. Takuma Miyazono, unfortunately, getting a positive COVID test before travelling to the event, meaning he was unable to travel, and I dare say he'll be watching this race at home, and we wish him well. We hope he has a very speedy recovery, but what a phenomenal job that was from Kylian Drumont and from Danny Solis. Team Subaru back on the top step here in Salzburg. What a great way to start live action again here in GT. That's how you do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think you love to see it. You love to see stuff like that happen, and I'm really happy for the guys there at Team Subaru. They had a bit of a tough one with Miyazono not being present as well, but well, they proved they didn't need him. But if you've just joined us and you missed some of the key moments of the race, it was actually Team Chevrolet and Team BMW set the early pace on that soft compounder tyre, with Nissan making its way back through from the back of the field. But we noticed early on Subaru looking very fast and very quick on that hard compounder tyre as well.
Yeah, problems there for Volkswagen, as you saw them having a spin and a bit of an unsafe rejoin. There was drama as well as Nissan had a bit of contact making their way through the field. This was Lucas Bonelli giving absolutely everything as they went through. There is Subaru as well, lots of overtakes into the final series of corners, and it was great to see this battle for the podium positions taking place, as well as Subaru were able to just build enough of a gap, and it all came down to Toyota versus Mazda for the final podium places.
Yeah, awesome last few corners from everyone there, but it was Team Subaru, of course, and Kylian Drumont there across the line, ecstatic to take the win there. Lucas Bonelli not quite able to catch them in the AMG, and behind them coming home in third place was Rio Kokubun, and there is a difference there in emotions, and that's what it means to Danny Solis.
Yeah, and we talk about Danny Solis' story a lot because he was one of the drivers who started on a gamer pad. He's now racing on a wheel. He's said to this one, he's got no excuses coming into it, and I tell you what, he did himself very proud in that. Team Subaru on top here for the 2022 World Series Showdown in the Manufacturers' Cup. Mercedes and Toyota on the podium.
Team Nissan, last to fifth, my boys. I'm proud of you. It's still on. It's still on. 2022. It's still on. I'm telling you.
Are you on a like pay-by-word basis from Nissan or something? Like every time you mention it, you get a quid in the back pocket or something.
Yeah.
Goodness, I'll tell you what, it was a phenomenal performance. All joking aside, great job from those guys.
Yeah, a great job, but you can't take away from Team Subaru. I mean, I know I've said it a couple of times already, but it's very disruptive to lose a team member, especially so close to the event. It was only a couple of days ago we heard that Miyazono would not be attending there, but well, as they've shown, they don't need him. I'm sorry, mate. Stay home. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is as well is that some teams, like Genesis, for example, Nico Romero was unfortunately found to be positive with COVID, and he was replaced. And as such, you know, it was possible that they could have replaced him with another driver. They thought, do you know what, actually, we're going to do this with the formula that we know. And I really respect that because, you know, that takes some real guts.
It does. Didn't work out for him, though, unfortunately.
No.
It's a shame. I mean, sometimes you have to sort of take the opportunity for the fastest race time, and if there's a different formula there, then I say take it, you know.
I was referring to Subaru, by the way, when I said about having guts.
You said Genesis.
I meant Subaru.
See that?
I did a Jimmy. Yeah, exactly.
1-0 now.
Yeah,
we're doing now, so we're good.
You know what I mean, though. Anyway, so yeah, it's. I tell you what, it has been just brilliant to be back with live racing. I mean, the atmosphere here has been fantastic. It's been great to have all of our commentators in and amongst the mix as well. Great to have the competitors, and then just when the overtakes were happening, the round of applause, everyone cheering, and just great, I tell you, I can't tell you how much we've missed that.
Yeah, I mean, like when we watch the online races, you might get like this little kind of smirk when they overtake. Like, and now it's like, yes, and the crowd feeds off the drivers, the excitement feeds off each other, and it's just great. And again, you get those emotional reactions at the end as well. That's what racing's all about. I always love to say that the racing the cars might not be real, sorry, but the racing certainly is.
Absolutely. Well, let's go down then to our winners. Julia is catching up with Team Subaru after what was an incredible performance.
I mean, just wow, there are so many things that we can talk about right now because there are so many factors that just came into this win. But first of all, just take a breath. Like, what's your kind of first reaction right now, Kylian?
I'm so happy. I don't
I don't believe.
Yeah?
I'm so happy. It's my first live event and I did the first victory, so.
I mean, you're 1 for 1.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's perfect for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Danny, you're. I can see you're emotional. It was a lot. That was tough. Yeah, of course. This is like actually, it's endurance. It's like draining. So I'm not surprised. How are you feeling right now?
A lot of emotions. It's wild. It's crazy. I mean, you know, for years, I've been playing the game on a controller, and I still do.
Yeah.
And, you know, a lot of people kind of give me some doubt for that, and a lot of people also respect me a lot for it. But I just wanted to come to an event and be able to prove that I can still do this.
Of course you can.
And,
yeah.
I made a big mistake up there, so I did feel bad about that. But my pace felt good, so I mean.
Well,
the best I could do, and we won. So.
Oh, Danny, of course it doesn't matter. It's all good. Like it's all good. Like all of these mistakes will happen. Every single one of everyone who's made some mistake at some point, but you fought through it and you still won. You shook it off and you move forward. That's the champion. That's the winner's mindset, and that's what you've got to be up here to win it. So don't look back at the mistakes. The mistakes is what has made you great. You know. I mean, obviously, it's extra tough as well. You know, you're a man, Dan. I mean, what have you got to say to Miyazono? I presume you're watching from home.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah?
You know, the hardest part about doing this without him is, you know, we won in 2020, and of course, Miguel is here, right? So I was hoping we could come together as former champions, and that didn't get to happen. So
yeah,
I hope we made him proud, because this one's for him.
Yeah, of course, absolutely.
I'm really happy we won.
Of course, of course. I mean, it's just, it's difficult times now. I think, you know, moving forward with all these competitions, it's going to be luck of the draw, you know, like who can come sometimes and who, you know, can't. But like, you guys have fought through. I mean, okay, let's get out the emotions and let's talk strategy. Like how did you stay to your strategy? Did you change it as you went?
No, start of the race the strategy is good.
Yeah.
Start our hard. Start our mediums and minimum lap on the hard. Because on the soft tires, the BRZ is very, very fast. So it's the difference. He can win with that.
Yeah, and it's and obviously this is like, you know, one of the longest races that we've done here. How did you practice for this? Like it just seems like to concentrate for this long is like, maybe that's just me, like a super hard thing to do. But how did you stay so focused?
I mean, admittedly, I actually didn't practice too much for this. To be honest, I actually didn't practice so much because, you know, compared to every other race I've done, I mean, I got up to speed pretty quickly and I didn't want to overdo it.
Yeah.
So I noticed that when I practice for too long, I start to burn out really easily. So I have to take it short bursts at a time. So I just, you know, at home I did the best that I could do on controller, saw what I could do on wheel, and then I was faster on wheel. So I felt very comfortable going into this. And, I mean, it worked out, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the car felt great. That was the best part. It was such a good car to drive, so that made it easier for me.
Yeah, and any final thoughts you'd like to shout out to the Gran Turismo fans out there before we get on to giving you your podium and award? Anything you'd like to say finally?
I'm just so happy. I can't say anything. So happy I don't have the word.
Oh,
for all the controller players out there that think they still can doubt themselves and they think they need a wheel to be good, I mean, obviously I'm here competing on a wheel, but you can get here and you can do this. So just believe in yourself and keep practicing and get better, because this is very real. You can do this. If I can, you can.
And how good does it feel right now that you've won?
I shouldn't say an expletive, but it feels super good.
Thank you for withholding the swearing, but thank you. Let's give a big round of applause, Team Subaru. We're going to chuck it back now to Tom and Jimmy.
I mean, to be fair, at least we are after the watershed for Danny. But I tell you what, I mean, we talk about how hard it is and how hard these guys practice. I mean, the emotion on Danny Solis there, you can really see just what that means to it. There's an outpouring of emotion, isn't it?
Exactly. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into this. It's like any sport, you know, it takes a lot of effort. The competition is really fierce. So
to go against all these guys here, some of the best drivers in the world, and come out on top, like, it's an achievement. So, you know, it's something that really should be celebrated. And I'm glad that, you know, the guys down there all think that, and Danny's able to sort of feel that in the moment there. But yeah, you know, there was a points in that race where I was thinking maybe it's not going to come off for Sue, but that middle stint, like I said, Danny did make a mistake during that, and it did sort of bring them back into the pack a little bit. But the gap in the end, just about enough, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. Standout performance of the race? I know what you're going to say already.
Mine, actually, I'd say was probably Igor on the softs in the middle there. I mean, that Toyota wasn't actually as fast as it has been in previous races. I mean, it's bullet down the straight, it always has been. But everywhere else, I mean, he was a machine gun. But obviously that mistake in there kind of maybe damped it a little bit. Killian, though, I think Killian's first stint.
Yeah, I have to agree. That would be mine, because that was just incredible what he was able to do on those medium tyres.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on the first stint, Killian Drummond was matching people on a soft compounder tyre, and just going quicker and using that tyre better. So, and that's what endurance racing is. It's all about using that tyre effectively, and they just mastered that today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, biggest mistake of the race, if we are to look at it?
I'd say that probably goes to probably VW. They tried backing it in there at the hairpin. I'd say Porsche, but unfortunately for them, that was a technical issue.
Yeah, exactly.
They couldn't really control that. But yeah, VW, I think, and also the rejoin. Although there was no further action, that could have very easily been quite a big penalty. They did come away, I think they came away with 6th in the end. So they did grab a point there, but that could have quite easily have not happened if the stewards decided the other way.
And something happened to BMW in that race as well, let's be fair, because they dropped, they were in the pits for an awfully long time at one point.
I don't know what happened there.
No, we don't either.
I know that Jay didn't have a particularly great stint in the middle there. I think he struggled a little bit on that tyre, and I'm not really sure what happened in the stop. So we didn't really hear about that, but if we do find out, we'll let you know.
Well, amazing. I mean, what a brilliant way to kick off live action after 2.5 years here for the GT World Series. It is now time then for our podium celebrations then. So in third place, please welcome onto the stage Igor Fraga, Nikita Moisov and Ryota Kokkerman for Team Toyota. Delight for a podium for Team Toyota here at the Red Bull Hangar 7 in Salzburg. Please welcome onto the stage the second place finishers for Mercedes-Benz, Baptiste Beauvoir, Kazuki Cho and Lucas Bonelli. And despite being a driver down, they managed to pull it out of the bag. Please welcome Killian Drummond and Danny Solis from Team Subaru, the winners of the Manufacturers' Cup here for the World Series Showdown in Salzburg. Well, a quite incredible performance here at the Red Bull Hangar 7 in Salzburg. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your respect, please, for our winning manufacturer, Japan, the national anthem for Team Subaru. The winning manufacturer's national anthem there for Team Subaru. Now time to present the trophies. For Team Toyota, third place, presenting the trophy, it is the 2019 Nations Cup champion, Mikael Hezal. And that trophy is presented to Igor Fraga, Nikita Moisov and Ryota Kokkonen of Team Toyota. Big congratulations to Team Toyota, a brilliant podium for them. The second place trophy is presented by Brembo brand manager Alberto Ferrari, and it is presented to Baptiste Beauvoir, Kazuki Cho and Lucas Pinelli of Team Mercedes AMG. And the first place trophy presented by the head of Michelin Motorsport, Matteo Bonardel. It is presented to Kylian Drumont and Danny Solis of Team Subaru. A huge congratulations to Team Subaru, the winners of the World Series Showdown here for the Manufacturers' Cup. Huge congratulations also to Mercedes AMG and to Toyota as well. Our top three finishers here. A great way to kick off live action after 2.5 years here for the GT World Series.
Wow, massive congratulations to all of our drivers here today. I mean, I know it goes without saying, but that was tough. That was a long race.
I would like to give a shout out to the commentators.
I mean, you guys. That was hard. That was really tough. That was really, really tough. But some incredible racing there. I mean, just the ability to focus and a man down, and yet still that level of kind of focus and concentration to pull it through, which is amazing. I'm kind of in awe, really.
That's the sort of performance that not only wins you events like this, but wins you championships as well. If you can perform at that level when you're a driver down, it's amazing.
It is pretty amazing. What's been kind of like your high point, Jay, Dog?
I think just seeing Subaru show the superiority of that car in this setting, and it was so funny seeing it down the straight just fall back and go down the inside into there. So yeah, I love seeing that thing get driven properly.
I'm glad I didn't take you up on that bet that you tried to put out halfway through the race. I'd be a very poor man now.
Yeah,
I think it's just been such a delight to see everyone here today, really, and just the energy in the room has been. It's been really, really good. It's been really, really fun. We hope you guys have really enjoyed it. But we should tell you a little bit about what's going to be happening tomorrow. So let's take a quick look. Okay, so of course, tomorrow we have the Nations Cup. Whilst today was all about teams, oh, that all goes out the window tomorrow, where it is every driver for themselves. So yeah, come and join us for tomorrow for the Nations Cup for some more hot racing action. It's some very hot racing action.
That's the best thing about this. You get an amazing race today and an amazing race tomorrow. I mean, don't say we don't treat you guys at home. So make sure you tune in for that. Of course, Nations Cup. Really looking forward to seeing how that pans out, and tons of races tomorrow as well. Of course, make sure to join the conversation for Michelin Driver of the Day. Anyone stand out for you? Let us know. Hashtag GT7, hashtag GT World Series on Twitter. And yeah, they might get a nice little hat or something tomorrow.
Nice little hat or something. Nice little hat or something. Lovely. Yeah, we are super excited to bring you all of the action tomorrow. So I guess it just remains to be said. Thank you so much for watching us, so much for joining us. We're going to go and give everyone a suitable